Hello, everybody. Welcome to Valorant, Plat Chat Valorant even, episode 237. We beefed it immediately.
Back to Valorant.
Welcome back to Valorant. I've done that so many times, man. So many times. This was supposed to be our Rostermania episode, and then gigantic ultra patch just dropped, like the biggest patch that we've seen in, I reckon, years. I don't even think it's like 1 year. I think it might be multiple years. Sliggy's put out a 7-hour video about it. TMV's put out a 57-minute video about it.
25 minutes. It's 25 minutes, that's it.
I'm going to ask you to sum it up in one. If you could sum up the whole patch in one word, we will talk about it later. We're not just going to, this isn't the only thing we're going to do on the patch. One word. What is the one word?
You have 2 words?
Yeah, go on then.
Fight site. Or defend site. They want you to defend site.
Okay. Honestly, that was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought you were just going to say, like, pretty shit or something.
No, I'm trying to be educational out here. The whole fun.
This episode is going to be mostly around the patch notes, the gigantic 11.08 patch that just dropped like an hour ago or something. And also a bunch of roster moves, too, that we're going to talk about. Ascension is also going on right now, by the way. Like, Chinese Ascension, the first couple of matches have been played. Pacific Ascension started this morning as well. America's is starting in a couple of days, EMEA in maybe like 2 days as well. So that's kicking off. We're not going to talk about it though this week. We're going to talk about it next week, week after, that kind of thing. If you're here wondering like, is Boom going to make it? Oh, we're not going to tell you that. And during this show, you'll have to tune into twitch.tv/thinkingmansvalo and ask him on repeat. Will DRG make it back into China?
Yeah, probably, by the way.
I mean, they probably will, yeah.
All right, well, I guess we are going to talk about Ascension.
It was fast, though.
You can become a member, and the members ask a question every week.
Whoa, you just went into advertising.
Wow, the transitions on this show.
That's crazy.
God,
we got to power through. Dude, we got to power through. We got to power through. Brent's got to leave in an hour and a half.
I have a hard out.
Okay, first of all,
but
Brent,
you just
member
tone
questions.
switched. You just literally, you like...
Member question. The member question is, pick your favorite theme team to win a tournament. Which of these theme teams would win a... No, that's not the member question.
Probably that one. That was my favorite team to win a tournament. Yeah, probably that one.
What is that character, by the way, that looks exactly like you?
That's me.
It's not you.
That's me.
It does look like Brent. I saw this.
It's an unedited photo of Brent. It's ridiculous.
We're just not going to address it again. We'll just move past it.
Yeah,
it's gone. It just flashed up for 1 second.
Ducky said they made a bunch of teams based on themes, right? So one of them is like royalty names. So they've either got like Deus or King or something in their names. One of them's babies. One of them's pronouns, you know, all sorts of different stuff. One of them's bald players. Which of these teams is going to win?
Damn.
This one was actually quite hard because I think it's a very weird mix of what's going on. I initially was going towards legit their name because they can all speak the same language for a start.
For audio listeners, that's Ethan, Trent, Derek, Xander, and Mitch. Pretty good.
Yeah, but then I thought they don't really have a duelist player. You know, they don't really have someone who could maybe like Trent could carry sometimes, but maybe not so much. Then I started actually going towards the bold team. I actually think the bold team it is actually quite good, and you know the roles could work.
The roles make sense,
and they. Yeah, it could do quite a bit of damage. So I'm favoring Team Bold.
What about the Zin team, though?
I thought that was decent. Yeah.
Zin, Mike Zin, Artisan, triple duelist in a new patch, and then whatever the hell you want else to round it out.
I've got to be honest with you. I forgot what Mazin even played. Mazin,
we can put him
initiator.
On the
he plays initiator.
Right? Yeah.
Initiator, sure.
He was on MIBR in their terrible year, and I've erased him from my memory.
That could be through sheer firepower.
Chamber Gods. I would take a little Chamber Gods here and actually put Yay on Chamber. I'd be in for it.
Everyone would be mad that, like, yeah, no.
Mate, you put Yay on Chamber out of all these chambers.
Yeah, you definitely.
For sure.
I'm looking at the royalty team.
Yeah.
You got King from Leviathan, King from Genji, DRX kind of. Kesnit, Dante, and Low King as well. That's pretty good. That's kind of popping.
Yeah.
All the language barrier would be a problem.
That would be a major issue.
No, they've simplified the game down. Language is no longer a problem. Everyone just understands how to speak Valorant.
Who is the coach of the bold team?
You?
Imi.
You want us to say you, don't you?
Imi.
No, I'm thinking there's actually a lot of bald
Imi,
coaches.
yeah.
There's Imi,
Owner.
there's Owner,
Oh,
the like original bald coach.
Get Owner back, man. Get him back in there.
It's,
I like
it's
that
wait
guy,
a
man. Get him
minute.
back in there.
Wait a minute.
and just to read out the names of the sus team for our audio listeners, there's a team here made of slowly 5 centimeter, bang, and juicy. Presented without comment.
I just completely drifted over the sus team. I didn't even read it until now. I just completely moved my eyes over it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Our team visa
Great member question. Love the time you put into it. Always a big fan of a good spreadsheet. Unfortunately, we have to move on.
We do have to move on. And now,
There you
Brennan,
go. Me?
I'm gonna give you the floor because you're the one that's crunched on these patch notes. Patch notes are out.
Crunched on
11.08.
them?
It's huge. You're crunched on time.
Yeah.
Man.
Ah. I thought you
So-
meant I crunched the numbers on the patch.
Yeah, I thought
Oh,
you just
that'd
meant,
be-
like,
I'm
you,
hoping.
you've got glasses. You're that kind of
Yeah.
That'd
person.
be really cool.
The huge patch notes. They've changed weapons. They've changed maps. They've changed agents a lot as well. Huge.
I mean, there's a lot to go over across the board.
What's the first thing that jumps out to you?
I think they've completely misdiagnosed, perhaps. Oh, well, maybe not misdiagnosed, but their intention with this, is what they said, was that they want to get it closer to the big global vision that they've always had for Valorant. Which, like, over the course of a game, whenever any game is released, right, the play base eventually gets better and better and better, and the tools that you've given them, they get more and more efficient at using them, and then agents slowly appear to be broken over time, rather than they weren't at the beginning. But that just happens across every single game. I think it's called, like, player emergent behavior in game dev, I think. It's when just the players realize something over time. So they're trying to course correct with this patch. But I think it's also, in my eyes as well, Valorant is a game that I think is perceived by the casual play base as being quite stagnant and a bit static as well in terms of just the way it's played. It doesn't really change that much. The maps never really get massive overhauls. You don't see big changes to the core gameplay for good reason, because then you completely upset the whole balance of it. But with this, they've kind of just taken a look at pro play, and they've just absolutely ruined the flow of how matches will get played at the very highest level by adding the extra cooldowns. So, like, I mean, it's just the initiator changes overall. But what I think, the reason I think they've missed a trick here is because the actual state of ranked, if you play in solo queue, consists of Jet, Reyna, Clove as insta-locks 50% of the time. And those agents haven't really been changed at all. And there's not going to be a change from this patch. Like, that's still going to be the same from this patch. There's still going to be that same stale feeling when you solo queue into the game. And so that's where I think that they've missed it ever so slightly. I think the game's going to get played completely differently at a pro level because of these changes. Just adding the extra 20 seconds on makes a massive difference in terms of I'm just laughing. I'm laughing at Sizable Yeet becoming a tier 2 member with just the comment under him like, best episode yet. It's just no one talking for 5 minutes.
That's an example of what Fnatic defaulting will feel like. To
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
So with the new patch, that's what every game of Valorant is going to feel like from now. Brent, you were monologuing.
I was monologuing. Let me summarize it up for you.
Keep going.
Gunplay changes, good for the game, I think. Removes RNG. The map changes, good for the game. Needed to be done a long time ago, also good. The agent changes, I don't think are going to have the intended effect they want. I think ranked is still going to be feeling even possibly worse than it was before. People already don't want to play initiators and ranked. It's going to get worse. But I'm willing to keep an open mind to it. I'm excited to play it today, later on, to see what it feels like. But I have my doubts that it's going to be making the game feel like a big, fresh overhaul. That's obviously not the goal for them. The goal, they said in the patch notes, was to align it with their vision that gunplay is really important in the game. And they feel like it got out of hand with that, where abilities kind of took over. So, yeah. But that's my take on it. And then I'll pass it down to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I'd need to see it get played, I think. The smokes getting increased is kind of interesting as well. Like, yeah, I don't think many people actually like talking about the smokes. Like, an extra 10 seconds for Omen is pretty big. You're probably going to see just double smokes get played a lot. I don't think Viper got that much changed, so I don't know. It just, the only thing I find annoying is we had the best meta ever, where the game felt like it was in the most open spot possible, and then now it feels like it's more limited. So that's the only annoying bit from my side. It's just like it was looking good.
But then, would you have, the counterpoint to that is, and I'm not sure I really believe it, but the devil's advocate argument would be, would you really like to see them keep that exact same system up until Santiago?
I would like them to maybe do a couple of nerfs, right, to the stuff that makes Yoru actually
But just like
strong.
small tweaks.
Yeah, just the agents that needed it. Small change to Omen, small change to Yoru, small change to Waylay. I would
With
have
the
changed.
map and weapon changes,
I
possibly,
would have
something like
changed. Yeah, I would have added more weapon changes in. I don't think these weapon changes. I like the Phantom and the Vandal one. I don't think we. I think we targeted the right stuff for weapons and some of the agents, to be honest. So that's where I sit. But I think the map changes are great. They should make this more often. Like, I think if you want to... So this is like the whole thing where people are like, oh, they're doing changes to make sure that the game is popular and stuff. Mate, the only thing that made me load up CS recently was the fact that they changed Train and actually brought Train back. Like, if you change some maps, that's the thing that's the most appealing. So that's where... And the map changes... Maps need changing. So I think they should lean into that heavy. That's like the main pull for me. It's like, change the maps. That's what works. I don't care that my agent got nuked. That's not going to make me want to play. But changing the maps is going to make me want to play.
It's a great point.
Yep.
It's a great point. Everybody's got an agent that they enjoy playing, and they normally think about the things that they enjoy playing rather than playing against. And they're like, oh, everything's been nerfed. Cool. Like, it doesn't really...
Well, I mean,
really
like
there's
Bren
a
was
target
saying, though,
player out
like
there.
the things that they didn't nerf were the things that were already popular in ranked.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna like it's gonna be possibly worse there, maybe,
they got
or you're
better,
gonna get
didn't they?
more of that.
Yeah,
because there's not as many tools for dealing with them.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
they got
escape
better,
agents.
and I guess their counterparts, like the Omens, if you're looking at Clove, they all got nerfed. So Clove got an inherit buff because everything else in their category got worse.
I think for me the main thing I would say is, when you're talking about a big patch like this, is this, I think, is the first patch that Valorant has done, and I understand the overall direction that they want to go, but I think that this is the first patch where, one, I think, and we kind of talked about this before, like the problem that they're trying to fix, maybe we didn't think was that big of an issue anyway, right? Like, I think most people didn't think necessarily that was a massive issue. But okay, they want to go more gunplay, you know, that's fine. But we've ended up, to me, in a situation where the current meta in both ranked and pro play is now stronger than it was before. Like, to me, it's like you're going to get, like we said, more Reyna, Clove, whatever in ranked. But you're also going to get more Viper, Yoru in pro play, in my opinion. Like, it just made it more like you're gonna get more double Julius, you're gonna get more double smokes. Like, to me, like nerfing all of the initiators in that cooldown, like they literally couldn't have picked a worse time. This is like the worst initiators have been probably in the history of the game. Like, and I've been looking at like some of the win rates and stuff. Like, apart from Silver and Fade, none of the other initiators are good.
Yeah.
Like none of them. So it's like, it's just to me, it's like a very strange thing. And then another part that, like, what is a successful live balance patch? Well, I don't think it's a successful live balance change if I think in the next 6 months you're guaranteed going to have to almost undo or redo a lot of things that you didn't do in this patch, right? Like, in the next 6 months, they're going to have to buff Breaching Echo because their win rates are atrocious in ranked. They're not that good. They're atrocious in pro play. They're not that good in ranked. And now their pick rates are going to be almost zero. So you're going to have to buff those agents. So why did you nerf them? Like, I understand maybe you needed to do some of the cooldown stuff to feel like they're keeping in line, but like, why did the breach ult have to go from like 6 seconds to 4 seconds on the stun? You know, there's just like things like, I just don't get some of the changes that they made because it doesn't make sense with, I think, the general feel of the game, the data that at least I have available to me. It doesn't seem to make that much sense, and I feel like they're gonna have to probably nerf Viper or rework Viper because she doesn't fit in the current state of what they've changed elsewhere. And they're going to have to do other nerfs maybe to Yoru and stuff because he's going to see a lot of pick and pro play again. And they're going to have to buff these initiators back up because now duelists and controllers are definitely better, which they already were.
They did say in regards to like them changing the values like across the board, where a lot of agents got hit by nerfs, that they wanted just the same consistent values. If you get stunned, you know you're stunned
Brent,
for 2.5 seconds.
well, let me talk about that, Brent, if you would, because I think this is a fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Why?
So why aren't all the flashes the same?
I think
mean,
they
are
make
on
a lot of flashes the
initiators.
same.
Yeah.
They are on initiators, but they're not on duelists. But there's different classes of different stuns as well. So why is Breach's stun the same as Astra's stun?
I think they're just trying to make it more consistent so that you, like, the
But
way
that-
it was described to me was that it's like a muscle memory thing. Like, you get stunned, you know the timing inherently in your head as to when your stun's going to be fading for you to make the next play.
Yeah, but
They
not
just
Flash.
want to.
But
remove
he's
the
got two different
inconsistency.
flashes in his own kit.
But I think
Different
TLV that's but I also think that they should have made those identical, because what they failed to recognize with the flashes is flash duration means bollocks all. It's how easy it is to hit the flash that matters. Like, the reason that Yoru's flashes are fucking awesome is because they're unavoidable sometimes. Breach flashes are shit because you can, like, a diamond player.
I
can
agree
turn
with
them.
you. I agree with you, but like at the same point, I would say for like the KO flash buff on the underhand, I do think that does matter. Like, I do think it going up to 2.25, like that like,
Yeah, because you
obviously
can
there's going
already
to be a limit
guarantee
to
that
that.
you
If you
can
were
hit
flash for
those.
0.1 seconds, it wouldn't
Sure.
matter, would it? It wouldn't matter. So there is a limit to that, and I just think, like, the amount of time that you stun someone, that's like a tool you can use to balance agents that
It
they've
is,
kind of taken away from themselves. That I just worry. And there's other things as well. Like, why is, I know this would have been strange to do, but why is Vito's thing still 40 seconds if everyone else is at 60?
Yeah, that's true.
That is really strange.
Yeah, yeah, we got all the cooldowns the same apart from this brand new agent. That you have
Yeah,
to
like,
yeah, that is.
Definitely play this, which is also going to be even better with the overall direction.
I want to hop into the actual patch notes and tackle things like line by line, but I had a couple of questions just straight off. Again, first one is Bren mentioned in his like the opening statement from the from the prosecution that he thinks it was quite an overreaction to an issue that didn't particularly exist. Are we aligned, the four of us, in believing that this was a bit of an overreaction to stuff like Tejo and the community feedback and pro feedback that was around that kind of meta? Does it seem like the problem wasn't really there in the most recent patch? Is that fair to
For
say?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even when they try and explain why they did it, they just kind of looks like they get lost a little bit. To be honest, it doesn't feel like it's not a convincing statement every time. It's like, why has this happened? And they're like, because we want to make gunplay important. And then they go, oh, but players have got too good with utility, so we're trying to make sure that the utility is more well thought through. But it's like, you just said that the players have got really good with utility, but now they need to make sure that it's more well
This
thought
this
through.
was my
Like,
second question, actually, which is, do you think it will make people actually think more and be more intentional about utility? Because if you take the extreme of it, like if everyone just had one recon dart for the entire, for the entire game or something, or not for the game, for each round. I mean,
would
each
be
game
it,
would be
yeah.
insane. But I mean, then you'd really have to be intentional. No, but if you had one like recon per round, would you really have to think more about that, or would it just be more like
I just don't play the
random
agent.
whether or not it got any value?
I just don't play the agent. I play someone else.
Right, but I mean, I guess in a world where everyone
Every
is,
agent
is
is
Everyone has
crap.
one piece of util.
I just feel like if everyone just had one piece of utility, it wouldn't make you think more about when to use it.
I
It
mean,
would just mean that
I'll
you
tell
had
you,
to
from
take
my
tons more
POV
dry fights.
From my POV, playing
But you
in
just run it
ranked,
down
like
every
playing Sova and ranked on Haven. Here's my scenario: I'm holding A long on defense. Sometimes, if I know the enemy team is just running it down like they do in ranked, people just run it down and go for a hit off the rip. I just won't dart a lobby at the beginning. I'll just shock dart it, and I'll just hold it, see if there's any presence. If not, I'll fast rotate, and I don't have the dart for the retake. If I dart lobby at the beginning and they hard hit C, by the time I get there, I still don't have the dart on for the retake.
Right, exactly.
Because
you still
my
have to
team's
make
like
that
flooded in
decision.
and died. So it hasn't really changed anything in that
The
regard.
thing that it's changed is now if you, now if you're on the attack side, for example, and you use it on an exec, you're not going to have it for the post plat.
It's
which
like
I think
it's-
is a fundamental shift to what's.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the patch notes. Let's try and attack things a bit more like in a structured manner. I can't remember which way the patch notes were actually set up, but here's some of the general stuff. Near sight changes. So they've changed near sight so that it's gone from 5 meters to 7 meters. So you can actually see a little bit more when you get nearsighted. Good change, bad change.
Yeah,
Mm.
good change.
More counterplay.
Good change. The omen's
Cool.
too strong.
Yeah.
You have to counter the omen somehow. The omen is too strong.
Yep.
This is
Okay.
like the main thing from the omen.
And then, does anyone have an issue with unification of these kind of things outside of TMV's issue that, you know, it does limit your tools to be able to balance stuff?
Oh, the stim stuff is like, yeah, that makes sense. I've got no problem with the stim one. It's more the concuss that I think is more.
Am I crazy or did they change the movement speed? They didn't put it in here. The stim.
I mean, you only get movement speed with the
brim
beacon, though, don't you?
Brim and clove for a little bit.
It might be in there, though. Let's scroll down to initiators, though, anyway. So the initiator changes what a lot of people are focused on. Right? So you're going from 40 seconds to 60. Let's take it from the attacker's point of view to begin with. Is there a world in which you actually have to make the decision more about using a piece of util at the start of the round?
I mean, you're still using it at the start of the round, really, just to make sure that you get that cooldown back. Like, you're still using it.
The earlier you use it, the earlier you get it back.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like, does it actually make you any more intentional about it? Just you're still going to use it early if you're defaulting.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
just
there's
play a bit
there's a scenario where when I'm playing rank, sometimes I won't use it off the rip because it's very specific stuff. But it's, you know, if you know,
that's because you know what the opponent. You're predicting
not,
what the opponent's going to do. This isn't
it's
a
not
pro
based
play
off
game
of-
where it could do anything.
Exactly. In pro play, it's going to be way more set up where you have your opening default. You want to take a lobby control on Haven or something, for example, and then you need these pieces of util. And I don't think it will change much. But again, we have to see it be played. So I really don't know. I think it will affect pro play to some degree because there's so many changes concatenated on top of each other that it's bound to affect it in some way or form. Like I was noticing last night playing a game just with the Omen changes. I was playing Omen on some maps and I was like in a clutch and I was like, well, I wouldn't have been able to just do that if Omen was nerfed. There was like stuff like the smoke timing coming on in a retake.
Yeah.
And me being able to smoke the spike and stuff.
That's a huge one.
No, that is a big one. The retake stuff is big, and that's why double control is probably going to be prominent.
Yeah.
Because you're normally going to be using your last smoke anyway to defend a site if we're not switching to defense. And then normally what would happen is you kind of delay a little bit and then you have it for the retake so you can smoke off the choke. Maybe now you don't have it for the retake and you kind of have to hit into the site instead of like, unless you're going to wait an extra 10 seconds on the retake. So retaking becomes a lot harder. So, I mean, they do just want you to fight site all the time.
Yeah.
That's basically what this whole thing is about.
Yeah,
it's
well,
just like with too many people complaining that you have to play retake.
And one of the big changes, I think, is that when you increase the signature cooldowns up to 60 seconds, it means that if you use it on an exec, you literally can never have it for post-plant. Because post-plant itself is only 45 seconds. You're not going to take 15 seconds to scale in and plant the spike. You've lost the round if you're execing and it takes you 15 seconds to plant, usually. Yeah. So you are not going to have pulls, for example. Like if you use a pull on an exec, you are not going to have that at all for the post-plant. You're not going to have stuns. You're not going to have recons. You're not going to have haunts for off-site post-plant setup. So I really agree with you, Slicky. I think this is just a like scrap on the site kind of change, which could massively shift how maps are played at the pro level and at the ranked level, I think. We already saw the ping changes make a really big shift to how people play the maps. And I think it's a good thing if the maps are actually built for it, like they've adjusted Abyss.
Yeah. The part that made me laugh, though, thinking about that is this is coming out, like, if I think back to earlier in this year, like, who won Masters Bangkok? The team who was already fighting on site all the time. Like, that was our winner.
Yeah.
And then Paper X as well, like a super aggro team will fight everything.
Yeah,
I think it just
but
makes it
let's
stronger.
change it.
Retake styles disappearing a little bit. But
I think it already disappeared last year. Like the teams that had that as one of their identities didn't work out as well. I mean, unless you were incredibly drilled. But
the thing that really fucks me up with this is the flash stuff. If you scroll up a little bit, there's some explanation of like why the initiators. So it says here, flashes have always been a critical tool for challenging angles. In a world with less frequent signature abilities, we want the flashes to retain power needed to start the fights. So we've increased the strength of initiator flashes. But you haven't. The breach flash is not improved by increasing the duration of it because people will just turn it.
It's a bit better in gold.
Yeah.
But like
it's
in pro play,
It's what Bren was talking about with player emergent behavior, right? It's not just that people are getting better at using util. People are getting better at dodging util too.
Yeah.
And if you don't adjust, like if you don't take that into account, You've done nothing here. You've done nothing. You've actually Yoru flashes are still better than breach flashes, even if they last 0.5 of a second, because at least they're landing on people. So I don't get it. I think they've completely missed the mark in terms of their flash logic. But hey ho, they also fucking put Gecko in the ground, man.
But they didn't want.
He was already in the ground. He was in the bottom of the ocean, and they gave him an anchor too.
Bro,
What are his stats, TMV? I saw you looked him up.
Oh, his win rate, non-mirror win rate this year, 40.5%.
Oh,
pretty bad.
I mean, they just owned him because they were like, everyone's going to use Gecko because we've got no refresh util. And so they just doubled his duration. Dude, imagine being a Gecko main. Like was it this year or last year? Like, you just give me a constant character. Give me a constant agent. And my cooldowns are constantly changing. Like, it must be so annoying.
And
we go
Veto
back and
came
forth,
out.
Yeah,
back and
Veto
forth.
out as
everything.
well makes it even more.
It's awful.
You just there is no counterplay if you are a Gecko and you're using your Thrash to entry into a side for your team, and you just didn't figure out where his little ball is. There's no counterplay to that. You just lose your Thrash immediately. It doesn't clear shit.
and then it takes you 1,000 years to get the thrash back up as well. I think they
Yeah.
increased the thrash cooldowns 10 seconds too. Although I don't know why that isn't quite in here. Oh no, it is,
It's
right?
general.
Because it's
It's
all
cooldowns
it's all
generally,
increased from 10 to 20.
I just don't get why they just own certain agents in this patch. It doesn't make sense. Like they just deleted certain ones. They're like, oh, this guy's pick rate's pretty low. Let's completely ruin everyone's time that likes to play this agent. Like, oh, you've been playing Cypher for 5 years in this game. Well, guess what? He's fucking useless now. Like what? Why?
Yeah. At least Cypher was getting play though and was like good.
yeah.
Gecko, it's like
Gecko, yeah.
kicking the kid that already fell over. It's
Fucking
so
picture of
messed
the Pepe
up.
with a food tray and someone stood over him and he's crying.
Yeah.
Fries are spilt everywhere. I'm Asian myself, but I love that picture so much.
How do you feel about KO? Because the 0-point cooldown increase, I think, is massive. Because that's one of them that you tend to use more on, like, not quite on cooldown, but you at least want. You really do have to think about it already if you're playing it in certain rounds, because you want to stop a rush or you want to stop a showstopper or something. But it's also super useful for gathering information.
This is one of the few abilities I think that, like, you might think about the intention, like your intention more of how you use it, particularly on defense. Because, like, on defense now, you know, you're right. You might just throw one to a main, start of the round, see if anyone's there, you know, go what's going on. But I should say the main strength of it, like, if you can time it well as they're about to exec, you know, it can win it literally can just win a round if you time it perfectly. So, yeah, that might be one of the ones where it's like, okay, you are gonna have to think quite a lot about how you are using that ability.
But I don't think the knife was ever as strong as the recon, so it's not as bad for KO. And then you look at the flash buff. That's a huge flash buff, because unlike the breach flash, this is perfect, and people are very good with this flash.
Yeah.
This is a huge buff to KO, really, just because of the flash stuff. Like, the knife isn't as important as the recon, and this flash is now the best in the game. Must be. Right click
It's only the
flash?
underhand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's
underhand
fine.
is still good. Underhand's amazing.
Yeah.
Combos really nicely with playing double. Well, not really double smokes, because then you don't have your recon able to play around as well. But
No Senti on some maps though. I could see it.
yeah, possibly.
I mean, people were doing that anyway.
Yeah, we're
Quite a
already
few of the maps are fine for no senti.
Yeah.
You've seen
Yep.
Corrode be popular, Bind be popular. People do it on
Abyss.
Abyss.
Yeah.
Lotus
Yeah.
was earlier in the what people would do.
All three of them are kind of in the map pool. Like, it's a good map pool at the moment.
Split
for, like,
as well.
No senti.
Can we have a look at the Senti stuff then? I can't remember whether that's next, by the way, but it was Julius. Let's go to Senti first, though, and then we'll go back to these. So Senti, they just destroyed Vice and Cypher.
I'm this Vice change, this Arcros change. I really don't get. I don't get what the point of the ability is for the Arcros, because now that it's destructible and it doesn't give you the info as well. Like, I don't like.
It's buffed for gold. It's buffed for you don't.
But it doesn't
shoot
even.
it.
Even I think in gold sometimes it doesn't make sense, because, like, when it first kind of leaked, like, oh, they're getting rid of the audio queue, I was like, okay, that's obviously a significant nerf. But like, they're just making it so that, you know, your Vice, you're always just putting it on site, you know, using it as part of your site hold, that kind of thing.
I don't know.
But now that you can shoot it, Brand, it doesn't make any sense, because you have to put it where people are looking for them to get
I liked
flashed.
it when you had the sound.
So you can
cube,
just
it
shoot
gave it gave you more situational uses for it, and now you've removed that. You're only using it for anchoring. Before, you could use it, like, I would use it to, like place it deep in an area, like I don't know, what's the example? Like C mound on Lotus or find belong, you get early info to find out if they're in that area of the map. Kind of like how people would use Sky Flash back in the day. And you can't do that anymore. It just removes the more like, I don't know. The use
But also,
cases
if
for
when
it.
you are using it on site, though, my point is that it's also a decent level of the game. It's also shit there.
Yeah,
because
it's
you
gonna
have
be
to
bad
put
now
it in
on
a
site too. Yeah.
yeah, because you
It
can
will
just shoot
be-
it.
It will be sick. Like if people still swing with the arc rows and you're able to break the flash and like you're supposed to put the flash now in spots that are miles away from where you actually are playing. Like you put them in super high positions or super low positions so that when you swing out their crosshair placement, it's really broke. Like I'm not saying it's good, but like that's what you're supposed to do with it now, right? You're just using it as a crosshair break. And the idea that the attackers are just going to be running into the Vice and hitting sick flick shots on the arc rows, it will be fun to watch at like a top level.
I don't think anyone's going to play Vice.
Well, no,
Are they?
but if they were, maybe the wall is still
Wolves
pretty
still
good.
strong, Fawns are still strong, but
Yeah.
this is like a lot of people were using Vice because you kind of could default a little bit and take some map control,
Yeah.
whereas like that initiator aspect has just been deleted from the agents.
I mean,
And I
on
just find it
Abyss-
weird that they get rid of the initiator like hybrid aspect of some of these agents, apart from like the duelist ones. Like,
Yeah.
some of the duelists have some of the better initiator utils when we're looking at like what Sentinels used to have. I don't know, it feels so weird.
You mean in the sense that if they want to
Boombot
create more
flashes.
people like actually playing initiators, you need to get rid of some of that on the duelists.
Well, yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
just like Waylay is like hybrid because you can do what the RX were doing.
Yep.
Boombot for Raze, then you got double
Clone
flashes.
flash. Yeah.
Double flashes for Yoru. Like, oh no, my flash does 2.75 less, but I can TP across the map, have a clone, and TP into sites. Like, I'm obviously, if I'm gonna use a flash, I'm still gonna use Yoru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why?
All right.
Why would I use the others?
Does anyone understand what this shear thing is, by the way? I was reading it, can't figure it out. Wall trap trigger logic has been reworked. The wall now spawns immediately when an enemy enters and then leaves its trigger zone.
I think what it was, you know, when sometimes you would see players like try and trip the wall and they would be pretty close to it, like where the wall actually pushes up. I think maybe like as soon as you enter that spot, you don't have to like go over
To
the
back
line
of it.
essentially.
Yeah.
You just
Right.
have to like get next to it and it will do it.
Right, I see.
I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. Let's have a look at Cypher. So Cypher, I really don't like the spy cam change, but I suppose it does put it in line with almost every other piece of Sentinel utility. It was weird, I suppose, that spy cam could never be seen even when you got close to where they'd hidden it. But that's the way the game has been since it very first released, so it does feel extraordinarily strange for it now to not work like that, because the cam is almost never going to be able to get you the info that we've previously expected it to be able to get, where you could just like
Yeah.
hide it in a little spot.
I mean, this
Well,
is really big, right? Because
It's huge.
people doing this on Sunset a lot, where they would put it over towards B main and they'd like default over towards B main. They know there's a camera there, but they don't know where it is. They're like spraying the wall, and now they can go close and they can shoot it, and that will actually help for like putting a question mark on the map and making sure it doesn't get cleared. Because that was always like an easy, especially when you play against the teams that go really slow, like Fnatic. You just put that camera in there, you get to 50 seconds. If they're not there, you know they're hitting the other site. So I think this is a good change, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's,
I
it's just the rest.
I
of the
don't
stuff.
hate it.
It's a big one. It's a big
It's a big
nerf.
one. But
It
I
is a
think
big
I think when I don't hate the Sentinel changes as much as like the initiator stuff, because I think that Vice and Cypher were very strong. And if I thought like now if I ask you like, will you pick Killjoy on every single map? Your answer will probably be you still might play Cypher or Vice. I still don't, like they're not unplayable. So I actually think we've ended
I'm
up
going to be
in
playing Chamber, I think.
well,
on
well,
most
I
of the
mean,
maps with no
Vito
util
I
to
think
push
will be
me off.
the problem, but eventually I'm sure they'll get around to
Yeah.
nerfing him as well at some point. Now that they've done all the others, but I do think like Cypher and Vice, like if you were gonna go in this spot of nerfing, you know, the initiators and basically everyone, that they did need, like this is the kind of level of nerf that probably Yoru needed as well, right? Like or
Yeah.
Viper as well, right? Like
I'm
all of
kinda
the top
surprised-
agents in the game needed this level, I think.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't change more with Yoru. I know that sounds weird because Yoru kind of got gutted across the board. But the one thing that I think makes him really fucking good, especially now in this patch where util is at a premium, and it's really important to clear people off like these one and done positions where they're going to get constant information, is his gate crash. his gatecrash is still intact almost. I mean, they just decrease the health of it where you break it. But that's not the point. The point is, like, you can hold aggro positions when you're set up with a bit of util, and util has to be used to clear you off, and you can get out for free off the back of it. When util is
less of that now.
even more of a premium, and they didn't make any
least-
changes to it. Like, Yoru's still going to be I think Yoru's still going to be played a lot.
He is, definitely. They did make a small change to it in the sense that now the Yoru makes a noise from the location they teleported away.
That's just to...
So
that's not a... That doesn't do anything.
It's not
That's
a
just
big-
to make it clearer where he is.
But I would
yeah,
say,
but that does make a bit of a difference because you previously were using a piece of util to push him off, and then there were plenty of places on lots of maps
Okay, right. I see
where
what
you
mean.
didn't know whether he'd actually
Yeah.
like disrespected you or if
Yeah.
he had full TP'd. Now he can fake it and stuff, but
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a great shift, but I think it is it is one small change.
but
I think
if
the-
that's the change we're talking about, then
Yeah.
fucking hell, fundamentally still incredible. You can TP across the map,
Yep.
no time changes there. Oh my ult, I can't use util anymore. Frankly, good. These fucking pro players were going for the craziest plays ever. This is going to stop them from going for the craziest plays ever. It's actually going to be well thought through. They can get round corners, they can get info, they can get Omen Flash to help them. If anything, it's going to work better for them. Because I'm not going to see the mad shorty flash off the ground like 50-50 jewels that people are going for when frankly the ult can be better than this. You're going to see like the more thought out RQ ults.
But that's a problem as well because it's more of a ranked nerf. Like the ult
Yeah, it
nerf
is.
is a ranked nerf, which doesn't make any sense because
But at least that,
isn't.
but that follows their intention of trying to make you combo stuff as a team together. This is one of the changes, the Yoru ult change, that actually lives up to what they're saying.
Yeah, we all
it's
wish we
supposed
lived
to
in a utopia, but no Yoru player is going in there and getting perfect Omen flashes to come out of their ult in. Unless you're in a duo, it's probably not fucking happening.
You can
Yeah.
definitely com like at decent
And
levels. You can com to set up like a Yoru ult overall or a Yoru ult Omen flash, and that's what they want you to try to do. I think they should have just got rid of one of his gate crashes and one of his
That's what I
flashes.
thought too.
Get rid of a teleport. Get rid of a flash.
They're already thinking about that in terms of Neon as well, because they've nerfed Neon stuff a little bit further up in this page. Is the energy regen and everything else that comes with it with sprinting. Like that's significantly nerfing the ability for Neon to rotate immediately towards sound cues and still have some energy left to actually make a play onto a site. If they're nerfing that aspect of Neon, I would have thought that they would also do the same to Yoru because Yoru can also do that. Like, that's why we were seeing a lot of Yoru Neon comps. But
I think one of the things, though, that they have to be careful about with Yoru is that, in my opinion, Yoru being in the meta was what led to us having a really healthy diversity of compositions that could be played.
Sure.
Because playing solo Yoru allowed you to play... It basically meant that you weren't forced to play flash initiators all the time just to have a flash. And I think that opened up double Senti comps, it opened up double smokes comps, it opened up, if you wanted to, some double initiator comps with other duelists as well. Double duelist, obviously, being a massive beneficiary. But I do think the game's not in a good spot right now to not have Yoru, because otherwise you're like, what do you
Well, I to be fair, Josh, I was going to say, I think
flash initiator.
I think this team's got a little bit more comfortable with not playing a flash at all. Of course, that's kind of been the meta on Lotus, like the Fnatic meta on Lotus for a while. But I think when you look at like Genji's Haven comp, right, with the Neon, I didn't have a flash, right? The Viper Neon stuff, and then we saw some teams, like Nongshim and stuff tried it on Ascent. Like we saw some teams like kind of take that Genji idea and kind of apply it to other maps as well. So I do think teams probably got more comfortable with not having a flash in their comp full stop. But but the thing is, like you say now, like even if they did nerf Yoru now, I actually think that's the direction we would go in, because I think a lot of people would look at most of the flashing initiators as just kind of being shit for the most part. Maybe apart from a KO every so often.
Maybe KO might come back. Yeah.
I think KO will come back,
We skipped over one of the most silly Cypher changes, I think. So the trip change feels wrong.
I don't even know.
It just feels wrong.
What is this?
So instead of being tethered to the trip, you are now slowed once you go through the trip. So you're not stuck on the trip. You can still move, you're just slowed. But if you move 4 meters away from the trap, it will reveal you.
My question for this was, can you dash through trips again?
Believe so, yes. It's just that you will be
You can-
revealed.
You'll get you get slowed and revealed like once you're on site, like insta revealed.
So
But-
if
which
you
I
tried
think
to
is a-
dash into a cloudburst, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that interaction I think is pretty good. It's just like we just killed kill trips essentially. Like you're still going to use Cypher on Haven, like the 3-side maps where it's like you're not really using kill trips. You're kind of getting them for information. If you look at Haven now, only really the A side setup is like where you're getting kills. But like these, I think for the kill trips, it's just not happening. It's like it's almost a second long. Pro play, you would hope that people are going to shoot those trips. So, and there's just better options now because of all the stuff that happens.
So yeah, you don't get revealed during the wind up. You only get revealed, after like a second, half a
0.9.
0.9.
0.9 seconds. And that's a long time to deal with.
Yeah.
Grip. It's so funny. Like they've increased the ease of counterplaying utility when I think the player base was already getting a lot better at counterplaying utility over the years.
But I think
So-
this for ranked is okay. Like Cypher, for me for this, I think the Cypher was great in ranked for this stuff. So I'm okay with this because I think normally you have to try and rely on like a Sova to shock dart, and that's never going to go well. So this one I don't mind too much for ranked, but pro play, kill trips are done. You're probably just going to use a different agent. Again, apart from Haven, it still makes sense on Haven. The info is still strong. You still get the info of them breaking and holding a certain area.
I'm just thinking about it from the Cypher's POV. Like if you're a Cypher main, you're not excited to play this patch, are you?
This is what
It
I'm
just
saying,
feels like
mate.
But you could say that about most.
If
Yeah,
you're
I
a main
think
of all
initiate
of
the
these,
races,
Unless
yeah.
you play one of the 3 most played agents in ranked.
this is
You're
what I
not
mean.
excited to play the game, which is I think
That's
that's
a
the
bit
problem.
bad.
this is
isn't
the
it?
whole
Yes, that's
thing
a
of the
problem.
patch.
Yes, that's a
The whole-
fucking problem. That's a big
It is a
fucking problem.
problem.
That is like, bro, you have fucking 50% of the games. Jet, Reyna, Clove, maybe a chamber added in. Fucking wide swing. That's the state of the game at ranked is not going to reflect whatsoever. Like I don't know.
I think that is the main issue with the patch. Is it feels like
Yeah,
this
it
is the
is.
first patch that I can remember that I feel like, or certainly a big patch that like doesn't actually address what's going on in the game. This feels like it was cooked up in April when Teo was meta, and they just slept for 5 months, and then just said, "Yep, let's do it," without actually like, reflecting what is going on right now.
To shoot them a little bit of bail, it does take time, I'm sure, to cook up a patch
Yeah.
change of this size and to test it and then to push it and to get it approved. But it doesn't take 5 months. Like, there's no way it takes
But
that
dude,
long.
the thing that annoys me is it's just like you have 16 teams at champs. You have the opportunity to get the IGL and the coach together and be like, hey man, if you could make 5 changes to the game, what would it be? Guarantee none of them talking about this Gecko nerf, this Cypher nerf and stuff like that. So if it's a thing that's made for pro play, why are we not talking to the main people that are doing the pro
But
play?
surely the pro... I feel like this patch did come from pro feedback earlier in the year as well. There were a lot of pros talking about how the game just felt like you couldn't
Sure. Like
play
one
certain
agent
areas
or-
because of Breach and Tejo.
That
Yeah,
was one
I
agent.
just think they misdiagnosed the issue. Like the pros didn't say it's just because of Tejo. The pros said there's too much util in the game generally as well. Like the pros and the community were all saying that. I'm not saying it was just the pros either. There was like a big sentiment. I don't know. Was it 5 months ago? I think it was even further, to be honest. I think it was like a full 6 months ago, which was there's too much shit in the game.
That's just
Yeah.
one agent and everyone
Just
overreacts.
Teo.
Yeah, maybe. Let's talk controller changes because these are huge, I think, and not getting as much attention. I agree with Sliggy. Brimstone has not really been touched. Clove has not really been touched. But Astra and Omen, big nerfs in terms of the cooldown on the smokes. So normally you can keep things re-smoked as Omen, like one spot, you can keep it pretty much re-smoked. Normally when you are reacting to a sight hit on the other side, you'll have a smoke late for the retake to be able to pop on it. You would previously have been able to use pull on an exec and pull in a post plant. Like all of these things have now been shifted. And they also nerfed Viper a tiny, tiny little bit.
I think honestly that's the reason that I think this isn't that big of a deal to me, because it's like you're just going to be more locked into playing with Viper. You're just going to play double smokes, and that's going to be one of the ways that you kind of get around this. If Viper also got a big nerf, then this I think would be, extremely significant. But I do think that because they didn't Like, and it really does, like, I don't understand, like, you nerfed Neon in this way, right? Like, Neon also has a fuel that got nerfed, you know, in terms of the regeneration time and stuff like that, to give her less util refreshing, but Viper didn't. And I just feel like, yeah, you're just gonna play double smokes to kind of overcome the issues that would be present otherwise. Now,
Would you
maybe
play
when,
Clove?
when
Would
they
you play
get to
Clove
nerfing
Viper?
Viper, Clove Viper?
Oh, Viper. Do you think people will play Clove at top, like in pro play? Because she feels more viable than ever.
What's their smoke cooldown? Is it
So
also 40 seconds?
I want to say 35, but it might be more.
I don't think
I-
the smoke cooldown is a big problem. I think it's the smoke duration that tends to be the problem, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
the
it's a
Clove smokes
shorter
last
duration.
12 seconds.
They already
That's
said they're going to
cool.
nerf Clove as well because
Oh, really?
it's winning too much in ranked as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought they weren't. I hadn't realized they were also going to nerf. Fine.
Yeah, they said it's like something they're going to be looking at. So I would imagine that happens as well because it's just too good in ranked. So.
Yeah.
The main thing about this is like this is pretty big, but all it does is just incentivize playing double. At least for pro play, double controller Viper's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to have a
It's
higher
always
higher
everywhere.
pick rate. Yeah, you're going to have a higher pick rate than normal, just because
Yeah.
they didn't
This
do
is
this
a-
whole thing where it's not in line. Like if you're in,
Open up the can
If
of
you're re-
worms here.
Go on.
This is it's a map design issue. That's the reason as to why Viper is being played all the time. Like they fundamentally Viper, I feel like they in ranked you're never going to get double controller in solo queue ranked. Maybe in a 5-stack you're going to get double controller. People are not going to play in ranked at all, and so
Sure.
they're in this weird impasse where they can't nerf Viper anymore because playing solo smokes Viper is the most troll thing you can fucking
Oh,
do
it's
unless the map
horrendous.
is like
Yeah.
Icebox Breeze, something like that. But they're at this weird impasse where they have to make changes because she is just dominant at the pro level. But it's purely because she does it better than any other Sentinel in terms of controlling space. She's a Sentinel at this point. Like she does it way better than anybody else in
There's
terms of
also-
controlling the timings, sowing misinformation, dividing up the map, making sure that you have to reclear constantly.
There's an incredible value to choosing when to drop a smoke. I think that's also
Yeah.
something that it's the only agent in the game that gets to decide when a smoke goes down, and that's it's
And
a huge time.
Like if you, I mean, I had this take that like on Haven, if you, I still think if you got rid of the Snakebite and the Viper Spit, Viper would still have a positive win rate on Haven in pro play.
Sorry, you get rid of the snake.
You could
Well,
literally
and
get
the
rid of
pit.
2 abilities,
And
and
your
I
roll.
still think Viper would have a positive win rate on Haven. That's how important the wall and the Orbar and how good they are. But
mean,
now,
they are
like,
good.
but like the difference is now Viper is even like considering all the initiators, like, because that's the thing, right? Viper really in a lot of pro play comps is competing with initiators, right? In terms of like
Sure.
what
That
you want to
extra
do with your
role.
comp. Well, now all the initiators got their cooldowns nerfed, but Viper now has more util than everyone basically, because the regen of the fuel and just putting it up and down wherever you want, like you're gonna have essentially just more util than everyone else. It's gonna be a Viper's dream. I think they genuinely need to they need to rework Viper, because I don't think there's a way that at this point they could, without completely killing the agent, I don't think there's a way they could like make it work for both ranked and pro play
Yeah, well,
without it having a 0% pick rate or
You can't.
100%.
yeah.
Can't.
I mean, Viper Elevated tweeted this out, like, and he told me that like looked at the top 5 agents in each champs. Viper is in the top 5 of every single champs,
That's
and is
so
the
strange.
only
Yeah,
agent that is
makes sense.
And then when
Yeah.
they add Harbor and Harbor's good, you can see Viper and Harbor. and
We're
then,
going back.
And then there's going
Rolling
to be
back.
there's going to be too much clutter. There's going to be a round where you have a Harbor ult, a Viper ult, and there's going to be 2 walls,
Yeah.
and then we're going to have to get rid of all the smokes, and then
Yeah.
it's just going to be just
Only
actually
Pixel will react to it,
util,
and we're
yeah.
gonna end up with no util in the game.
Everyone
exactly.
plays the Sliggy split comp that you forced Fish 123 to play with no, what was it, no flashes or no smokes or something.
Yeah, that's good. Everyone uses a judge. How the game's meant to be played.
That's how it's gonna be played.
In terms of the speed of the game, how is this going to affect that kind of stuff? Because I saw a lot of people just assuming that it's going to slow things down because you've added 20 seconds to the cooldowns on a lot of things. I had a hypothesis, though, that one of the changes that they've made to a lot of the util is that they have shorter windows to follow up on it. So Concuss, shorter window to follow up. Some of the flashes have shorter windows to follow up on them as well. You only have one piece of... You must follow up on your recon util. Yeah. So I think to actually scale on an exec or to scale on map control, you've got to be faster. You've got to be really quick with that stuff. But that also means that your attacking windows of opportunity are so limited that like the Odin the judge, these become astonishingly good at stopping you from taking those small scaling windows you actually
They
have
didn't
to
get
work around.
changes.
Well, that's also why just another reason why Viper will get picked even more, because whilst all that cooldown is going on, you can then put your wall up and use that to go and walk and take some space, you know, whilst no one else has any util,
Yeah.
and you're just using it to walk around. So yeah, I
Consistently
think
being able to just control the map and take that space.
But
yeah.
doing off barrier stuff should be still all right.
Well, but
Sure,
yeah, but
I
it's
mean,
like
it's
you say,
always
like
good.
if you fast exec, you're not gonna have that util for the post plant, right? Like if you
Yes,
just go
yeah.
for it, you're not gonna have it. So
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
do the
but yeah,
cringe
like the
rounds.
initial exec should be the exact same, essentially.
And you still have, I mean, if you remember that like fracture exec, you remember the fractured top A site exec where people were doing that immediately and then they had aftershock, brim molly.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'll still have a lot of post plant util that isn't refreshable, so you could still do some dumb cheese shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change the game too much. If people want to play double initiator, they're just gonna lean a little different. It will be like Teo with like a Sky or a KO, something like that. If you want to kind of play slower, that's how people. It kind of lets you do your own way of doing it. Basically, is how it's going to work. But predominantly, I would say 80% of teams will use Viper, Omen, or Viper, one smoker. Probably Omen just because it's so flexible with the TP and the smoke. So this is the whole thing that just annoys me about the patches. We just had the most open thing ever, and now it's just like, well, we've reset it all.
Yeah.
And now these.
But the thing that
agents are
was the most
better.
meta is now more meta.
Yeah, exactly. It is just like, here you go. We really want you to lean into this.
Let's talk about some good shit from this patch.
Mm.
The map updates, the weapon
Yes.
updates. Let's talk about that kind of stuff in a bit more depth because I feel like we've been negative little Nancys.
Oh, for sure.
So let's be positive Peters for a moment. Pearl, Abyss, big changes to how. I mean, to Slicky's
Particularly
point,
Abyss.
they want you to play on site. I mean, I think this change on Pearl is also pretty huge, right? The B site was the only thing that I disliked about Pearl. I love the rest of the map, and now they, I think, look like they fixed the B site. You can't just plant and fall back to these fringe locations anymore. There's no spot where you're going to be able to play a long range post plant setup, and you're not going to get swamped with retake utility.
One question that I had about that little wall there on the side is, if you're on the other side of like back site, you know, like if you're on the far side where the little corner is, can you? How much can you see? Because
I think
what are you
can
talking
see,
about?
I think you can see them a little bit. You talk about the new exec thing over towards the left if you're on attack.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you can see like their shoulder. It's not like a hard angle.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I still don't know what you're talking about.
If we go down a little bit, so it's behind screens basically when you're execing. So say if you're going to Euro TP, you can now Euro TP behind screens as like a little bit of an indent.
Right.
If you go down a bit more, yeah.
Yeah. That little.
Yeah, this
Oh,
little
I
cubby.
see. There's a little pocket.
I didn't even know that thing existed.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
It's a good change, dude. Like
Oh,
the
that
whole
is
thing's a
good,
good change. You got more options for defending. You got more options for attacking in terms of where you want to go. You got two hard options of better plant, a little bit for long, not as much with the little pillar that comes out and blocks you, or you have safe plant on site, which is actually now fully safe because you got the little indent.
Box, yeah.
So it's dude, it's a nice change. It's a nice change.
Yeah.
They can do this stuff with all the maps, man.
Icebox.
Little change like this
Yeah,
would be
I beg.
incredible.
God, if they bring back Icebox Unchained, oh my
And dude,
God.
that's a way of making your game
gonna
fun and not
melt.
pissing off 50% of the people that play it. I don't know why they don't lean into this way more. Like I really don't. Instead, they're just killing agents. The people play who have been playing for like 5 years. Like, oh, I'm really excited to play my agent that I've been playing for 5 years. Hopefully, they haven't completely wrecked it. Oh no, it's completely shit now. Like, oh wait, 20 seconds to pick up my wingman who doesn't stun for as long as well. He's shit. And
Imagine
then
you're role playing as a gecko lover, as a wingman lover. It's crazy. Oh, this is my agent. I can't pick up wingman as often. Sliggy's actually like this is evil.
dude,
Sliggy is what you're watching right now.
someone's got to defend him because fucking hell, bro, they're getting rid of him. It's like if I actually just wanted to
Yeah,
just make an
Sliggy took
update,
over.
this is it. Yeah,
It's not the tens patch.
rid
It's
of
the Sliggy patch. We killed gecko.
just get rid of him. But it is just like, dude, just change the maps. That's the stuff that makes it fun. That's why people come back to play a game. The map's changing, even if it's just small changes of sites. It's good. Switching boxes around.
Yeah, I like it. It takes longer though, right? From a development point of view, you're tweaking numbers with the first and making sure that it doesn't break the game completely. But this
Sure.
is you're tweaking a lot of stuff. You're getting re-art done. You're figuring out there's a lot more.
Yeah.
But
I
they
think
had
thought
kinda-
and process
but I-
that would go
I-
into this.
But I think
I
they
think
can
this
be
year
more
they had kind of
balanced.
stopped this though, right? We
Yeah,
hadn't
yeah,
really
I
seen
agree.
this when maps came back in, and I think that this
Yeah.
it does make. I think when a map comes back in and you get changes like this, it does make you more excited. Like, oh yeah, I want to see what's going on, rather than just like, oh, Split's back.
At what point
Yeah.
do we have to admit that the map changes are starting to get really good? The split changes, these changes.
Yeah, dude, just don't do them. Just do more of them.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree.
No,
with
I
you.
agree.
Like, you guys know what you're doing, so now let's tackle the maps that are shit. Let's do this more. Like you guys
Icebox and
cook.
Breeze.
You guys cook. This is great. Just fucking do it more often.
Keep cooking.
Yeah,
Stay
keep,
in the kitchen.
Keep cooking, but just do it more often. Like lock them in
Well,
there.
I mean, I might say just retire Icebox at this point. Just don't
Icebox
give me.
is a
Don't
tough
bother
one.
with Icebox.
Yeah, give it a pass. Give it another good shot.
No.
Yeah.
Open up mid. Change. I mean, the change that
Exploding
we've seen to
barrels,
Abyss,
key.
right? Have you seen the Abyss change? No, we're not going to do the exploding barrels and the key. But the Abyss change where they've changed completely where that B connector is.
Yeah, that is cool.
So like something like that as a fundamental shift on Icebox, plus making the B site so that you want to play on it instead of off it around yellow. Like these kind of same ideas applied to Icebox could really make the map an enormous amount better, to the point where it wasn't the worst in the game by far.
yeah.
Because these changes are cooking.
Yeah.
No, they're great. They're so good. I have multiple. Again, it's the same as Paul. Multiple options where I can play on site. I can do loads of things. I can actually play on site. I can have crossfires. There's so much that you can do on this now. And at the same time, if people wanna, we kind of stop the play off of site and after plant as well. The fact that you can now kind of plant in this cubby here. So it's just
You
everything
can't
that you
plant
want
for
to see.
Cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like we don't. Well, you could probably do it on the edge. To be honest, I reckon. Still.
You think?
Yeah, I reckon.
Like if you
Well,
turned, yeah, I think so.
but maybe not.
It looks like you might
Maybe
not
right
have
at the end.
angle.
Yeah, maybe not right at the end. I'd have to see. But dude,
Yeah.
this is it's so nice. Like having options is all we wanted. We just want to hold over towards site and have options. That's it.
All right, what about the weapons then as well? So Bren summarized this as like a good change, reduces
very
some of
good
the
change, I
RNG, makes
think.
it more handleable for the players.
Because the way that people aim in this game has just been optimized down to tapping 2 bullets, counter strafing, like moving around a lot, just 80-80 tapping. And if you spray in this game, you're just a sitting target. You're never going to be favored spraying. But it made it so that the way that they've worded it is really strange, but your switch time, which is they've increased from 0.37 to 0.6, the amount of time that you can just full spray before your bullets start randomizing, I think is how this works.
No, this is from
No,
the
that's-
left to right.
Left to
Yeah,
right.
so you get these protected bullets at the beginning of your spray, which now there's more of them, where there is no swapping from left to right. And then have you ever just held down your gun and you notice it twitching from left to right? That's also an indicator that your spray is going off in that direction. So it's a randomized element of your spray control that sends it off to the right or off to the left. And what they've done is they've slowed that down, so now it takes longer to switch
see,
from left
yeah.
to right. So you can
basically
notice what it's doing, and you
Yeah.
can align it
Correct,
so that you're
yeah.
correcting for it.
So
there's
I've
now like a
I've
skill.
completely misexplained it.
Do you still like it though?
Yeah,
Okay.
I still like it. I mean, in general, I was just like, well, it's going to make spraying more consistent, right? Like something that's a practiced element of the game
For sure.
was how I saw
Yeah,
that change.
it still will.
and That's a good thing because currently the way that people aim, I mean, listen, it's going to make it good for me when like it feels like I'm having an out of body experience whenever I crouch spray in Valorant because I know I'm about to die, and I know I'm doing it and I'm panicking because I'm doing it because I'm panicking. But I'm crouch spraying and I'm watching myself in slow motion miss every shot and paint outline around someone's head while I'll just AD and tap 2 bullets into my brain. And it's going to make it so that when that happens, I might actually get a kill this time. So I like it. Just more variance to the way that people are shooting in the game. I think that's good. It increases the ceiling a lot, I think, for the shooting too.
Yeah, I mean, insta crouch sprays are back, man. They were not a thing at the beginning of this game, but insta crouch spraying is definitely back for sure.
You would have touched some other guns, I assume, Sliggy.
The fact that the outlaw isn't at least going down to like 125, even just a small thing for certain situations, is crazy for me. I think the Odin, after we've seen it at such a high performance, crazy for me. I think the Judge not getting touched, crazy. Bucky not getting touched, crazy. Shorty, Marshall, to be honest, shoots too fast. I would have touched all of them. Spectre,
Every gun.
Spectre thing's okay, and then the Stinger, I don't think it got enough hard enough.
What did they do to the Stinger? Because I don't really understand. If you scroll down, they improved the Spectre because everyone was just buying the Stinger instead. But then they've kind of like made the recoil happen faster or more aggressively or something.
It happens one bullet earlier, basically.
So you just have to more aggressively
Pull
account
down,
for the.
yeah, you're putting it down earlier. Doesn't
Right.
change too much. It still fires the same thing. You just pull down slightly earlier.
Doesn't seem like an enormous nerf.
It's one of those where I think because the spread increase is the one. That's the one where you need to go on the server just to see how bad it is. So it might be enough with the spread increase. That's one of those like try it on the server, but on paper it doesn't look enough. But we'll see.
Okay.
It's one of those where I don't know. We gotta test it out.
Fair enough. Any final thoughts on this patch overall of stuff that we didn't get to?
Not really. I mean, yeah.
Are you excited to play?
I'm excited to play it. That's the main thing, which I think is the goal whenever they come out of a patch, is that they want people to be excited to play the game again.
Yeah.
And there's some changes that they hinted at. I was speaking to some devs at the event, but they're not in yet. But they hinted at it at the bottom, which is like 11.08, 09, which is accounts detected for sharing must enable the Riot Mobile multi-factor authenticator, which I'm a big fan of because like the 5-stacking experience across the board in the game is kind of dire, to be honest, just from Earths mainly. So
Yeah,
I think that they're
is
making
something
good,
that's
healthy
rough.
changes, but it's not in this patch. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of positives to take from this. I don't think they needed to do a lot of the agent stuff, but I think like the main takeaway is the fixes to their maps are right, which is cool. They can do it more often, and the gun changes are cool. It makes it more exciting. Means that we can have some like more variety. So overall it's a plus, but I think it's just like it just feels a little out of touch. All the agent changes, it just feels a little outdated, unnecessary, and they didn't touch the right things. I would do it again. I would love for them to actually just get the 16 teams that go to champs, 5 minutes from each, just coach IGL together. You two, what would you guys change about the thing? Get that 16 times over, see if there's any correlation, and then try and handle those things. Especially if the patch is literally for pro play, you probably target the people that are playing it at that level.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's move on to some of our Rostermania discussion then. The way that we're going to handle this is that we're going to go region by region. I'm going to start with Americas. We're going to start with Leviathan. And then at some point, we might miss out stuff and skip over to other regions just to get onto more juicier topics. And also because Bren point, and I don't exactly know which ones
I got 20
you're
minutes.
most excited to talk about.
Okay.
Is there anything? We'll start with Lev, Bren, and then you have a look through, and any topic that you would rather talk about, we'll go on to
I
that.
just talk
next.
about it instead.
I mean after Lev. After Lev.
I'll talk about Lev though to begin. Like Lev, I'm a little bit disappointed because I think that they hit on something really nice with their roster towards the end of stage 2. I thought that the pieces were starting to click. Really, the team was looking kind of nice together. But yeah, they seem to want to go full South America. Now I was hearing rumors, all sorts, that it was, I don't know, that the org didn't want to. Goodbye, Sliggy.
He's died. That's fine.
Yeah, that this was like, I don't know, wasn't necessarily what the org wanted, but maybe they did want to do it. I don't even know, man, because it's just so hard to tell with this shit. But Lev, if this is the theorized roster where they get Sato and Spike together in what I think is going to be more double duelist play continuing in 2026, could cook quite a bit, actually. Could absolutely fucking own, but it's disappointing, I think, because they did hit on something that I thought was kind of good. I could see the improvements that our roster was making at the end of stage 2. I wanted to see them stick together because it looked like they had serious potential.
Sure, but I would say they keep the main piece, though, right? As long as
Sato.
you got Sato, then I think
King.
you're good. You build around him,
For sure.
and then the only thing that kind of worries me with this one is like, I guess the strategic side of King. Like it seems, and is it Honor coming back again?
Yep.
Like previously, when you look at these two together, they're very readable with ults and stuff like that. But that's very easy to change up. It's like my only worry, really. But I think Spike Sato being on the same team is one of the firepower teams, man.
It's also
I'm
it's
excited
so
for Honor to
strange.
be back, man.
I think it's really strange having Owner coach Sato and Spike, because Sato and Spike, when I think about them, are very creative, opportunistic kind of players, and Owner's teams And now I haven't watched his Leviathan Academy. I haven't watched any of that team. I know that they're popping off at the moment in LATAM, and you know, two of the players that are coming up are part of that, which is why Owner's now looking to coach the main squad as well. But previously, when I've watched Owner, it's very regimented, very predictable, always going for saves instead of trying to commit to
That's
the
what I'm
tighter
worried
rounds.
about.
Like those kind of things. So it's weird that you get Sato and Spike with it, because those players are like the crazy element. So I'm hoping Owner leans more into getting the best out of them rather than forcing them to adapt to the like regimented.
I'm just worried that they use a recon dart start the round, realize there's a 60-second cooldown, get to 40 seconds and be like, guys, we got to save. And they just don't.
Not
Yeah.
that. There's no way. There's no way.
But it's an exciting team. I'm excited to, like, if that's their team, I'm in. Yep, I'm excited to watch Lev. And I personally like, you know, the South American teams signing South American talent. I think that's good.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think, yeah, this is a team that I think as a South American team can compete.
Brent, who did you want them to keep?
Mm.
He's-
Like the
he's-
whole roster. I mean, I'm thinking about it now.
But I think when a roster doesn't make champs, you got to make changes. That's
You
kind
think
of
so?
where I
Even
am.
when they made the changes, like in stage 2,
Yeah,
they really didn't have much of a run for it.
but you have the opportunity. You've at least got a. I mean, NRG is the best example.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But also, I feel like NRG's case is super rare, isn't it? Where a team makes those changes that actually works
I
out.
don't know. EDG, EG.
Yeah.
It's been
We've
the
had-
last
we've had
three
a couple
winners.
every year. Yeah.
EG didn't make massive overhauls, though.
Well,
They
they got
changed
Demon
one.
One
Oh,
in
Steam 1 in stage 1.
instead of BCJ.
Stage 1, right? But this is like a whole year thing. I just feel like they
it
didn't
wasn't
give
a
it
whole
enough
year.
time.
It was 2/3 of the year, maybe. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think Okeanos is the one player that I would have been like, I'm a little disappointed, but also I understand completely why they don't have him, because they're going full Spanish Portuguese speaking. So
Yeah,
I'm not worried about Oki. I feel like Oki showed that he was good enough to be able to hang and should be picked up by another tier 1 team.
Well, I think that's the thing to Brent's point is I think the players that they're letting go, and you know there is rumors that they're gonna go to other teams. Like they are, you know, decent, good players, right? So it's like I can understand Brent's point in a way because you're like this team had some potential, but I do think like if you're Lev, you know, and obviously we saw that with their 2024 roster with Aspas, I think they do have some ambition, right? And I think that they like this is a team that like in theory, if everything clicks right and it goes really well, you could see this team going, you know, popping off and like going, you know, deep.
The thing that I'm more worried about is actually the fact that they've got like 3 duelist players on the team. Now,
Listen,
No,
mate,
that's the
look,
meta now.
I was
the
gonna
meta,
say
man.
that's.
yeah, maybe,
I reckon
maybe
you
that
could.
is.
You could make it work these days. I reckon. Yeah.
So I mean, Spike is going to play flex for them, I would imagine. And Spike already was playing flex. It wasn't like he was a full duelist player. But I'm not familiar with Neon. I'm just looking at the stats page. So I want to put that out immediately because there's a chance that he's played like something.
Are you just
very
thinking
different in the
he's
past.
just gonna play Neon because that's his name?
Well, he has. I mean, it is his 4th most played agent, but his top 4 are all duelists, and then his 5th is Chamber, 6th is ISO. So like he is mostly just a duelist player. And then you've also got Sato. Like if they take Sato off duelist, I think that would be pretty shocking.
Oh, if they did that.
Yeah. I think
So
so.
they're either opting heavy into double duelist, hoping that that's going to maintain the meta, or they're going to try to shift Neon's role around.
Bro, I think it's been probably one of the best times to play double duelist. I think that'll be okay.
Mhm.
Doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon.
That worries me, though, opting so hard into something like that. But who knows? I don't know enough about the player to know whether or not he would be able to adapt and play Senti. I mean, especially if Chamber is the most played Senti. Like, Chamber Veto, you're chilling if you have a duelist
Fine.
player, surely.
Kill him.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
strong aimers is how you want to build teams in 2026. That's my takeaway.
Yeah.
Strong aimers, because that's going to be the thing that's going to be winning you more rounds these days. That
Well, they've got
as much as
strong
they're putting a
aims.
heavier premium on util, yeah, that's going to be still important. But with all the gunplay changes and everything else, like you just need when your util is spent, you need players that can punch back. Is a big thing.
Brent, is there another America's team that tickles your fancy, or should we go on to talk about where some of those players might be going?
Just keep going down the list, man.
All
I'll
right.
just vanish at some point.
let's go to where some of these players might be going then. So that's EG. So the rumor at the moment is based on like scrim leaks essentially, and also because Com has literally played at EG before. E.g., there's a report from Sheep Esports that they're looking to release Yay and Nature. Then Derek was exploring options. Then Icy and Superman were part of a big trialing system as well. So it's not like Icy and Superman are locked into staying, but those were the two players that they were more inclined to keep around in terms of trialing them for positions. Having said that, that might have been before they realized that a lot of those Leviathan players were available, because now they seem to be doing quite a lot of scrims. And apparently the rumor is that Com might be trialing as the IGL, like Com and Nerved were two of the options they were looking at as IGLing for next year. What do you think about the EG team? Are they in a spot where they should just kind of wait and hope to pick up scraps, or would you like to see them lock in some big names early?
Yeah, I would say you're mostly waiting. I would say. I think Com's a great pickup, man.
Yeah.
I think Com is like always proven, at least his teams, that when you look at them, have like great set strats when it comes to ults, and they have like a lot of range in terms of what they're actually doing, and like their strat book's pretty big, which has to be down to him if you look at all the iterations of teams that he's been in, because the other pieces haven't been as consistent as him. So I think Com's a good pickup, and then yeah, I would wait and to see who becomes available. Basically.
I think Oki would be a great pickup for them, though. I think if they got Com and Okeanos, and I think again this is one of the things, right? Like if Lev go to South American team, that kind of opens up more NA talent essentially. You know, you essentially kind of lost like an English speaking North American team, so that kind of opens up, and I think that would be kind of a boost for EG, right? Who are probably going to be the org that, you know, maybe is picking off the scraps a little bit more in general. I think like if they could get a team with, you know, Com, Okeanos, you know, whoever else, I think that's a great start.
They should have such good players to pick from this year.
Yeah, I was saying that, dude.
Like,
if
it is shocking if they put together a bad roster this year.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Because if you're releasing Yay, then you would imagine the talent above that is pretty strong. Especially, dude, Yay on Chamber this patch would pop people again. Not to repeat myself for the past 3 years, but I really just want to fucking see it. Yeah, dude. I mean, if you're picking people over him, then the pool's great. Really, that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
I think that EG this year felt like they were missing more than anything else. Just that depth to their strat book, though, as well.
For
That
sure.
we saw from them in the past. And I mean, it's what you mentioned, Slick. I didn't really think about it, but maybe Com was the pretty vocal element that was introducing a lot of that. But like, no shade at all to Potter, because I think Potter is a fantastic, like, charismatic coach. Someone who can call a timeout when your mental is in the gutter and bring you up. And someone that knows how to speak one-on-one with a lot of the players, resolving issues, things like that. But yeah, I felt like the tactical, the strategic element was missing, and that was the thing holding them back a lot of the time. Was, I don't know, just having like a good idea to pull out on the back end of a timeout to turn it around, like a good strategy, a good set play, even just an eco idea. Like compare NRG in the way that they played this year. Like they're in an eco round. They're setting up like a trap play in areas just off the cuff. Just being able to just put stuff together like that to be able to turn stuff around, which I don't know. Those are the details that made EG go on that miracle run for me, which was missing. So any way to get that back, maybe Com was the missing piece, because I know he's incredibly vocal. He's one of those rare players that coaches love, because he will just do the right play for the team in a given round, if that makes sense. If he knows that he needs to put his body on the line to set someone up, he will. And yeah, he's just.
I think he does a lot of outer server work as well, from what I can tell. Like, it feels like he's a great person for ideas, and just like, right, we finished practice, and I feel like he's the guy that comes in with ideas for like the next day. Just purely because yeah, dude, I think he's great, to be honest. I used to be like, he doesn't frag that heavy, but then you just see every team that he was on seems to lose something, and then every team that he's on has like gains that strat side of it. So I'm like, it has to be him. It's that's cool. I mean, he's good.
Speaking about the LATAM stuff, I want to move on to talking about Crew. Crew's in a really strange place, and the players, on Crew, are in a really strange place, I think. All of their contracts were up at the end of this year, apart from Mazzino and Dante. Dante was on a 2028 contract, which is kind of bonkers, and they've made no indication that they're letting go of Dante Davis. Mazzino is a restricted free agent, though, so they've allowed him to explore his options, even though he has a contract running until 2026. The rest of them are unrestricted free agents, as I understand it, because their contracts expired at the end of 2025. But where, like, these players have nowhere really I mean, I guess they could
I-
go to
I
a
think what's
Brazilian
gonna
team if
happen is,
a different
like-
team wanted to do that.
Like Lev did, you know, they've got quite a few Brazilian players. If I was a Brazilian team, like let's make a Spanish, Portuguese.
You're not getting cNed.
Well, no, you're not getting Kisner, but let's get Mazzino and let's get, you know, Shy, you know, like because again, this is kind of in a similar spot, I guess in a way to like Lev, where you look at these players and you're like, these players are like, you know, pretty decent players, but it just didn't, like stage 2 for crew was like a real letdown, I feel like, because it felt like Dante never reached the heights that we thought he would. The team kind of struggled as a whole. They got cNed playing Sky or whatever, right? Like it just didn't seem to work. So I don't mind them going in like this didn't work, so let's just completely try something else.
I just
Go on,
find it
bro.
really funny that we're moving into perhaps the meta where it's most important to have like Crew's play style. I feel like fits perfectly into the way
Yeah.
the game is bound to be played.
Yeah.
Where
2023
is at that more
BBL or somewhere
premium.
yelling at a cloud.
yeah, just like when they run out of ideas, they contact and make sure to trade each other out properly and like have that good team play, that good coordination when it comes to the gunplay. And now they've blown up the roster, heading into when the first event is Santiago, when they could have had
Oh,
so
dude, I
many
didn't even think
Chilean
about that.
players too. It's just I feel like they've done this when it could have potentially been fine because I think their play style would have worked out really well, but.
Well, they
Yeah.
haven't done this necessarily yet. Like in theory, they could still re-sign all of these players. The question would be like, are they actually going to want to go somewhere else? And I think, like, I think cNed is more likely to retire than go somewhere else because he seemed a little like worn out. Let's say by the end of this season, he's been playing for a long, long time.
He spoke about it, right? He spoke about it on an interview that he had like
Yeah.
considered it before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird one for this one. I imagine that like at least 2 of these remain on crew just because some of these are too talented to let go. I feel like, to be honest. But again, I
Which
don't
kind
know
of
enough.
players?
At least Shy.
Right.
Like I'm at least keeping Shy, and then yeah, I don't know, man. The others are a little inconsistent, I guess, but I guess that's because they did quite a few changes. But the talented players. I just can't.
There
I
it
don't
says-
know I don't know enough about tier 2 to know that like there's better.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
There it says Atom is inactive. Are
Yeah,
they
they've
changing coach?
Yes, they've also
They've already done.
they've also
right.
Oh, okay.
got rid
Didn't know
of
that.
Atom as well. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So let me have a look at the contract database. His contract was also up at the end of this year. So again, it's possible that they re-sign Atom, but he doesn't have a contract that lasts longer than.
That guy's name is Unpro Player.
Leviathan Academy did actually have 2 Chileans. One's like a smoke initiator player, and the other guy. But I suppose they could try to pick up Murada Ninja, who's a Sentinel player. But they could try to pick up people from tier 2 as well. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a Chilean team at Santiago by the look of things. Not like they're trying to go all out for
Yeah.
it.
Wasn't like the main rumor for this one that Sadak was coming for crew, or they at least had interest in him. Wasn't that the main
and
rumor?
then Sadak was gonna like build the team something.
That's the rumor that I had.
That was
yeah.
a long time ago.
That was a
wasn't it?
long time ago. Yeah.
I have no idea if that's still valid. I'd forgotten
Ruin a
about
rate.
that. Actually.
That would be cool. That would work.
It would be cool. Get Sadak back to Americas. Let's tackle Cloud9 though. I wanted to take a look at. Actually, let's skip Cloud9 for now. Sorry, and let's go into Sentinels and 100 Thieves because I feel like that's more interesting. I want to get Bren's take on some of that stuff as well.
Okay.
So Sentinels owner Rob Moore said there will be some changes that are being considered. We still think that we did well making it to every event, but as I think they said that Zyppan and John are away traveling for a while, so it offers them opportunities to go and trial some other people too. Zyppan and John QT's contracts also end at the end of this year, as does Zelsis's, and they haven't signed extensions just yet. So definitely could be some big mix-ups happening in the Sentinels camp. What's your read on, like, let's take Zyppan and John QT, for example. If Sentinels wanted to keep them, do you think it would make the most sense to stay? They're a big org, they pay well, and they've been successful.
Yeah, I think so.
admittedly not like lifting
think
trophies.
I think they just had a bit of a wrong read on the meta in terms of how they were meant to approach the game this year. And they still made every international event better than a lot of orgs, but I know their goal isn't that. They've said about their goal being to lift trophies, but if you think about it purely from that standpoint, they are a successful team. But with the amount of their spending, they probably want to be more than just making the events. They want to be lifting the trophies too. But yeah, I think a lot of it just boils down to they had a read coming in, incorrect, had to pivot last minute throughout the year as well. But I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one.
I think the only reason, if I'm second or John, the only reason I'm leaving is for either a crazy offer or like a crazy super team that you can slot into. Other than that, like 90% of the time you're sticking with Sen. They're just it's one of the better orgs, and they make events. Like they always give themselves a good chance to actually like lift trophies. They're at least at the events to try and do it.
Okay, with that being said, then I do want to swap. We can keep talking about the same idea, but I want to swap over to talk about 100 Thieves as well, because in conspiracy theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rumor that has been floating around, and I think half of this is just pure hopium, is that 100 Thieves are going to sign some kind of insane team this year because they know that the partnership agreements are going to be refreshing at the end of 2026. And so they want, because at the moment, 100 Thieves have not really done much over the history of the game. They're not as big as some of the other teams.
Strike?
Like,
hello?
yeah, exactly. You weren't even there for First Strike TMV. You literally watched the game after First Strike. Like, in that conspiracy theory world where 100 Thieves really want to invest because they want to maintain their position in Valorant and make sure that they get a partnership agreement as one of the solidified teams next year again, could they sign a huge super team, reuniting Zyppan, Cryo? I don't know. Maybe they pick up John as well. I don't know.
I don't think they will. I'm sorry to deflate you. I don't think they will. And I listen, I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to get outside of the game for a little bit here, but from what I've heard about 100 Thieves, they've been making a lot of cuts, a lot of layoffs across the board. Money's pretty tight. Most of their ventures have not worked out in terms of esports unless they know the scene really well. And I think if they're looking towards the future where there's even less, your spot isn't like a lock-in, especially with the partnership model kind of not going away, but the contracts are up, right, for 2026, no, 2027.
Yeah, but
so,
it's the end at the end of 26.
So this year is like the big one, the last one. If you're not even confident about esports overall as a company, why would you go all in for the last year where you can't really be kicked out?
I guess the argument would be return on investment is like we spend quite a bit this year and we make sure that we're still in Valorant.
They might do it, but I think their optics and view have just been that it's a bit of a drain. And I think they might not invest.
Yeah.
And I think they might just use the last year to contract as that safety net to ensure that they can just kind of dribble in whatever minimum investment.
The thing is as well, you've just seen NRG win champs with multiple players coming up from tier 2. Would you not be more likely to be like, oh, well, if we can just find the right tier 2 players, that could be us.
Yeah.
Rather than
building a super team.
To a super team.
Oh, I've got to go, by the way, as well. I just realized the time. But
all right. Adios, Brennan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's go and see your nipples. Oh, there they are.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, chat. We talked about this at the beginning before you guys joined us. Spam a 2 in the chat if you want to keep Brent's nipples on the screen. And if you want to get rid of them and we'll go to a 3 box, spam 1.
Please 1, bro. Come on. Why are we leaving this up to chat? You know they're going to spam 2 as well.
No. If you want the show to look professional, and can we just show what the 3 box would look like? I mean, it would look so much nicer. It looks so clean. Look at that.
Some ones.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
incredible.
that's lovely.
Look how many ones there
now
are.
get the nipples back. Get the nipples back.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, what are we thinking? It's split 50-50, to be honest with you.
I can
it's
only see
very
ones.
close. I think there are more ones.
Mm.
I genuinely think there's
Easily
more
more ones. I'd say there's 90% ones here.
Wow, that's harsh on Bren, no?
That is tough. That's tough. This was when he was 1v1ing Baby Bay, by the way, at the Atlanta Reign homestand in Overwatch League. Piece of history. Piece of history.
Piece of history for you. I will say you brought up a pretty good point though, is that maybe if it isn't 100 Thieves, I don't know if they're the best example of like an org that is going to spend a lot, but this is the year that some orgs will spend quite a lot, and that's pretty cool because you might just see this like random org that was maybe like more of a mid-tabler come in and actually just really send it because they think that it might be their last year and they're trying to stay for longer.
Yeah, and
There's
they
something
definitely
to
won't
keep
have
an eye
learned
out
from
for.
Vitality. They definitely won't have
Yeah,
looked at
but
Vitality results.
yeah,
and
but
thought,
true. Maybe like it makes a little more sense in terms of leadership.
All of the French teams tried to go hard this year because they knew that Champs was in Paris. No French teams seen. It does feel like money is not. Well, I think overall money probably is correlated with success in Valorant, actually. But
I was going to say
there's some
NRG.
serious outliers.
NRG, if we take out Bonkar's chicken nugget salary, I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
G2 also very good salary. Sentinels
do
very
good.
good salary. Like the top teams do tend to earn.
At least in
more.
Americas, yeah, it
Yeah.
works out well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know so much about it. What do you think? So the other thing when it comes to 100 Thieves is that the rumor is, or a report from Akamaru, saying that NBS, the former Ascend coach, has reached a verbal agreement with 100 Thieves to become the head coach in 2020.
But it's about time this guy got a C in, to be honest, because it's like we haven't seen him since he won. Well, he's been in tier 2. We haven't seen him in tier 1 since he won champs in 2021. So it's like the guy at least deserved a shot somewhere along the line that wasn't tier 2. And I think it's very hard to prove yourself in tier 2, really. Yeah. Because tier 2 is a nightmare. So like tier 2 a lot of the times it's like just as hard, I would say, in terms of tier 1 of actually like getting to a recognizable or like to a place like Ascension. So
funny bit
I think it's go on.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say funny bit of history as well. Ascend not only won champions, they actually won the first ever Masters in EMEA. It was an online tournament, beating Team Heretics in the grand finals 3-2 with NBS IGLing because at that point it wasn't against the rules. And they realized it wasn't against the rules in the rule book. And so he just did it. And the coaches were full IGLing the EMEA team.
I spoke to him earlier in the year on my Ascend podcast and kind of went through some of the stories were quite funny about the old days because they were involved with the Cypher Cam bug thing as well. Yeah. And so there's a lot of good stories from back in those days. But the thing about MBS, and I've met him in real life as well, like he's got that like a Baltic Eastern European, like, very like stable, very chill. He's like the opposite of what in my mind like 100 Thieves as an org are. Like 100 Thieves, I just picture the SpongeBob meme where everything's on fire and like, there's 10 SpongeBobs running around going, what's this? What's doing that? I don't understand. And MBS is like the opposite of that in my mind. Now he does like to cook some things up. If you look at his TSM team, and this is historically as well, like he does. Like he's playing some double Senti on some maps, he's playing like Sage Vice on Lotus and like Sage Cypher on Ascent as well. Like he's willing to cook some stuff up, which is quite different, I think, a lot of the time from what other people do. But yeah, he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of experience. I think the fact that he was at TSM as well and so spent time around like the North American, kind of like he understands what kind of North American players like vision of the game is. I think it's a good stabilizing, calm move from an org that I think often isn't that.
Is the implication potentially that he might bring some TSM players up? I know that there's been some excitement around, I don't know too much about the other players. Obviously, I'm familiar. I haven't been watching TSM. I don't know how good they are or how good their players are.
I'm not too sure.
Ascension starts soon.
Yeah, I am going to be watching America's Ascension. I'm excited for that one, but I haven't watched them up to this. Well, we'll see then. We'll see. Let's go back to Cloud9. So I wanted to talk about Cloud9 earlier, but 10 and 100 Thieves I think were a little more interesting. But Cloud9, they're letting Net explore options for 2026. So presumably looking. And they're rumored to be trialing Alim. Is that how you pronounce his name? The duelist for QRR. As a Senti instead. Cloud9, I think, got a lot of benefit from Net's attitude this year.
Yeah.
But it's no secret that he's not a huge fragger on the Senti position.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think they just probably want more firepower. And the guy they're picking up plays a lot of duelists, right? So if they want to play double duelists, they have that option. And I think that's honestly with where the maps are at the moment, it might be the play where it's like your flex is actually your secondary duelist or your sentinel.
Yeah.
So
I think
I
that's
think
one
it's the
thing.
last.
Yeah, a couple like Sentinels are another good example of a team where that's one thing that they might consider is that they didn't really like narrate tried it a bit. It didn't go like great for them when they tried that. I do think like having players that definitely can play like double duelists and are very confident doing that like right now is a good option for what we've seen this past year and then this most recent patch. And I think for Cloud9, yeah, like you say, it makes sense to want to maybe bring in someone with more firepower. Like you say though, Josh, like if you're saying that Net is like a good vibes guy, good like mental guy, then that potentially something is going to get lost there that we on the outside won't see as much. But I think Cloud9
they need somebody to bring that kind of stuff up because they are like they have been struggling with mental stuff for years.
Yeah,
years.
you're not wrong there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's very valid.
whoever they either need to have learned lessons from Net or sign a player that has some kind of similar energy.
Yeah, or someone has to like step up to the plate. Because Oxy has a lot of energy, but it's obviously just when he pops off.
Yeah.
So you just need like more of a hype man from one of the others, I guess you would imagine.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on then. Talk about FURIA. That's the final team in Americas, and then FURIA could be
literally they are the final team in America.
Yeah. FURIA could be one of those teams that look to try to acquire some of the crew players. Would you aim to do something like that?
For sure, dude. So whoever they don't want to take.
Just anyone? Just literally anyone?
Honestly, it is like that. You got your visa sorted. We'll take you. We'll take you.
Yeah.
Don't want that again.
I mean, rumor being that they're interested. I don't care who FURIA are interested in necessarily. I only care if the players want to go to FURIA. Because that's what defines whether or not these orgs can get talent when you're at the bottom, right? It's like, why would a player want to go there?
I mean, yeah, you need to strike on the people that want to still be playing in tier 1. It needs to be that they are that team where they're kind of like EG, really, where it's like the South American side have somewhere to go where they can prove that they're good enough for some of the other teams. That's basically where you view them. It's like you're putting yourself on the podium, and here's your year to prove that you could potentially be in another team.
FURIA have got to hope that like the Brazilian team doesn't win Ascension. Like they need to have a North American team win Ascension because I feel like
let's take them all.
like 2G coming up and like having their good players still is kind of robbing like a FURIA where like they could have had those players instead and maybe they are more competitive than they were last year.
I mean,
you got to
2G
root for it. You got to root for
yeah,
NA
that's true.
teams.
They might not. Yeah, that's a valid point though. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, they can.
You just wait for Ascension and see who fails. It kind of is that route though. Yeah.
And also, FURIA are not one of those teams you're talking about, Sliggy, where they're going to be incentivized to go balls to the wall and keep their partnership slot. Like they must be looking at the end of this year like, well, then we won't have to pay for any Valorant rosters. They gotta be, right?
It does feel a little bit like that with what's been going on. At least some of the rumors that have.
Or if they win champs.
If they win champs, I don't care.
What are you gonna do?
Winning champs does not mean that you're staying in
gonna kick
the league.
out the champs winners.
I think EG basically went from top to bottom from one year to the next. Why not?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
not?
but all
Let's
that
have no
roster
NRG
split up. What
next
if
year.
you're like, we're gonna keep this roster together no matter what. And if the scene is more open, we'll win champs again. What if they won champs again from tier 2?
TMV, what if your premier team won champs next year? what if?
That would be a story, wouldn't it?
Let's talk EMEA. EMEA's got some sick roster moves going on. I think I'm more excited for EMEA maybe than I am for the other regions. America's has got some crazy shit going on too, though. MiniBoo leaves Heretics. What the hell?
That's a big one as well. And
What the hell?
it's him leaving, but at the same time, maybe that was like a saving face thing where I feel like they probably felt like they had to make changes as well. And I guess that makes the most sense, especially as they were kind of exploring Woot as a duelist. I mean, MiniBoo will get picked up fast. It's just
Do you think he wants to play? Because
MiniBoo, yeah.
Because MiniBoo was talking about burnout quite a lot and that kind of stuff. So I wondered if he had left the team because he was like struggling with the larger aspect of being a pro rather than specifically on Heretics.
Oh, interesting. See, I kind of viewed it as a change is going to happen. I'm expecting it to be me. I'll just
So
do
I'll
that.
take the
I'll do
initiative.
the easy thing.
I'll jump rather than being pushed. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's kind of how I viewed it.
Okay.
But it's going to be interesting to see, first of all, where he goes and like what options he has and what Heretics do, because they definitely have some options as well. Whether
He is definitely looking for a new team by the look of this tweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether they like actually keep Woot as a duelist and they look for more of a flex, or if they look for a duelist as well.
Brownies.
I'm down for that, dude. Get some MiniBoo brownies in you. What? I think it's great to learn
Strange sentence.
skills. I mean, he's a young guy as well. I feel like most people at that age, I would suspect most pro players of MiniBoo's age cannot cook for shit.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an unfair, stereotypical prejudice that I have against young men who spend 90% of their time playing video games. But I suspect being able to cook brownies puts you in the 1%.
I'm sure that'll get him picked up. That's what everyone's looking for in their player. Brilliant.
Where would he go? Like, what team do you think would be the best move for him? Like, it has to be a team that's looking for someone and a team that would make sense for him too.
Yeah.
I'm looking towards somebody would you want to make a shift minus camo plus MiniBoo? Does that do anything for you on Liquid?
I think Camo played too good to even consider changing him up, really.
Really? At all?
Yeah, I think Camo played too well, to be honest. I would more look at like the kind of Navis that are struggling. Maybe some Pacific teams as
is
well.
already gone.
Yeah, Navi is probably the
Navi
one
would
that
be a
stands
good
out
fit.
the most.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's an extremely selfless player to add into the Angel style of Valorant.
And you know that there's other people in Navi that can frag pretty heavy, so I think you can get away with like the make space.
Angel's gonna coach MiniBoo to just troll and just throw his body in and just die.
I mean, he already does play like
I
that.
know,
He
quite a
does.
bit.
Yeah,
Don't
he
even
does
shoot.
send it.
You cannot shoot.
Send it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they make them most sense. I guess other teams, if they lost their duelists, kind of make sense as well, like Gentlemates. Those kind of vibes. But again, it depends what happens with those teams, really.
What about the Heretics side of things? Do you just put Woot on duelist, or are you looking for a duelist player?
I put Wu on duelist. I think he's too good, personally.
An interesting one, isn't it? Because because Woot plays what? Like Viper, Initiator plus Duelist.
Well, his Viper's
His Viper isn't great. Yeah, true, but
astonishingly worse than his others.
it's but he plays Omen as well. Like, what if you did put Woot on Duelist? Like, what kind of player are you picking up?
I think it's harder to pick up an insane flex player than a cracked duelist player. I think Woot is not necessarily all year going to give you ultra good flex play. He does oscillate quite a bit between being like, decent to sometimes he has stages where he goes utterly bonkers. But I think aside from the Viper, which is an issue that they're going to have to tackle, I think they're going to find it easier to find a duelist replacement.
Sure, you look for a duelist Viper then, what you're telling me.
Maybe.
There's not many of them going about.
No, I mean,
Really?
I'm not necessarily looking for a Viper. I think I'm looking to just teach Woot how to play the Viper a bit better, but
Sure.
maybe. Vitality then. Let's move on to another team making big changes for big reasons. They've never had a solid roster, to be honest, since they've made this super team. Have they though? They've been chopping and changing the whole time. So now the report is that Pal from BBL, the head coach from BBL, who's done a great job this year, I think, joining Vitality. The rumor, not report, but rumor, is that that might also include Yampy too. I think that's just people speculating, though. And then they are looking to keep Durka and Sayonara. The big name, though, that the Spike Brazil are reporting can explore their options is Les. So they're not actually looking to hold on to Les. They're allowing Les to go and talk to other teams. He would still have a buyout because he still has a contract. But yeah, they're letting Sivov, Unfake, and Les go and talk to other teams, which presumably means they don't really want them on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Powell's been proven to be good, and I think definitely a thing with coaches is if players in interviews bring him up and like are thanking their coaches, then you know they're normally doing a pretty good job. Like especially when it's not the question is like asking about it, they just randomly bring him up. That's happened quite a few times with Powell. So I think there's a great pickup with Powell. I do think that if you're picking up Powell, you're probably looking at Yampy as well, just because they probably have that duo connection anyway from what they had from BBL.
And this Vitality needs an IGL, needs a leader.
I think when you look at the whole, if your whole year was fucked because you didn't have good IGLing, then your main focus is that. So I would imagine they go hand in hand, really. There's not too many others that they could explore or like names that spring to mind. So you would imagine it's that. And then it's a pretty good base. Sayonara is a beast. I don't know what he's like personality-wise, but he's a beast in terms of mechanical skill. Durka, we obviously know is good. And then you can just fill in the rest. I think losing less is big, but if you also look at what happened last year, it's like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like he was... I mean, there were games where he was carrying.
Sure,
but it wasn't like he was... I mean, his role as well was kind of a bit up in the air, wasn't it? I think... I mean, I'm imagining that they don't keep on hold of Kicks either, but I haven't even seen any reporting around him. Has it just slipped past me? Has he already gone?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about him, but I think Kicks played fine.
I thought Kicks was great, but
he's
do
good
you
flex.
keep him when you already have Sayonara? I mean, they might want to keep Kicks until Sayonara is... Because I think Sayonara's birthday is on like March 4th or something.
Oh, okay. So
so...
keep him for the beginning and then switch him
keep
out
him
after
for the beginning and then keep him as a
first
sixth man.
Masters.
Yeah,
that
something like
would
that.
make the most sense, and then he can explore elsewhere. So yeah, that probably makes sense of why they're keeping him. So it depends who they get for the other two, and then obviously if Yampy is there. But they definitely need a strong IGL. We can't have the same thing happen again.
Yeah.
I think when you watched Pal and Yampy like talk in some interviews as well, they seem to just have good vibes. There's just good vibes between them. They're joking, they're laughing, they're making fun of each other, that kind of thing. Like, I think that it would just make a lot of sense, and it would put this team, depending on who else they got, I think on a good track. To have Yampy as your IGL, Durka, good coach, I'd be feeling pretty good about Vitality going into the season.
Yeah,
I would kind of like to see them keep less. They need a good Senti player. I feel like just putting him like making his role, you are the Sentinel.
Yeah,
it would be cool as long as they haven't destroyed any internal relationships via the like bad year that they had, because that could also be an issue, right? Like you just might not want to play with the same people if you had repeated arguments because the year was going badly or something.
I think it could work as well with the meta Perma Viper, and then on the maps that you have to have a Senti, you've got to miss Senti. Could definitely work.
Yeah,
but we'll see, man. It's I don't know. I feel like he's replaceable with what we saw last year. It didn't give me the vibes of 2022, 2023 from what we saw from him.
Then who are the best options for Vitality? If Vitality was going to try to make best roster possible on paper, they have Durka as duelist. They have, let's say they have Sayonara Initiator, and we'll kind of ignore Kicks for now, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Kicks plays Smokes or something afterwards. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then we've got Yampy playing some kind of flex
What does he
role
play?
as well.
Yeah.
Smokes, Initiator,
Smokes,
something
maybe,
like that. Like you probably need a Senti, and
Yeah.
you probably need a hard Smokes player.
Get Profec, man. You gotta try the bid and
just
pray.
bring BBL.
pray the
Bring
Navi will
Profec.
get rid of him.
Just destroy BBL.
I mean, yeah.
What about like Ruxic or
To
something?
be fair though, if BBL are losing Yampy and their coach, it wouldn't like they've already got a couple Turkish players there that they could just be like, well, let's just go Turkish with our already good Turkish players.
And then Profek ends
Like
up homeless
sign
because they've gone full
what's he called?
Turkish.
The old foot coach?
Gaius?
Gaius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
Gaius
Gaius
go
comes
to-
back, man. I want to
Yeah,
see
like
Gaius.
that like if I was BBL and they had already left, like I'd be thinking about that.
Could,
Yeah.
you could get an import if Les is gone. Get
Yeah.
Mind Freak back.
Zekken.
Second, yeah.
Freak.
Yeah, get Mind Freak over, bro. You need a hot smokes player. Proven good enough.
Okay, sure. I mean, Demon 1. Get Demon 1 in there.
Sure.
Durka Demon
Tens?
1.
Let's just throw our
Yeah, let's get all the old schools back.
All right, let's get out of fantasy land and talk about what BBL are going to do in order to repair the team that's been savaged by French money. If this report is true and Vitality have taken their head coach, taken their... Well, the report doesn't say Yampy, but let's imagine that Yampy might have gone as well. They're also letting Magnum explore options. I mean, if they steal Profek too, BBL are in a bit of a... Yeah,
But
they
then I
might
say
have
you
to
ju-
go full Turkish.
Yeah,
They,
you just
they
go
will
full
go full Turkish.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got BBL Pacific coming up. They could maybe... Don't know what's happening with Comeback's contract, but normally with a team that goes up from Ascension, it's like not the longest. I imagine when Gentlemates got him, it would have been a short contract for sure.
It ended this year. The
It
comeback
ended this year.
contract.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, you could get a lot of BBL Pacific back.
Yeah.
LaRock is going to be 18, I'm pretty sure.
That would be sick. I'd love to see that team playing at tier 1. That'd be fun.
Mm.
A proper swing people, cracked aimers Turkish team for BBL again.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they might do worse than last year's BBL, because last year's BBL were really fucking good, but it would still be entertaining.
The talent's there as well. Like
Yeah.
even Elite had a rough time. I would say that he's definitely still good
Yeah.
for another showing, or like at least a trial. There's a lot of good Turkish talent, man. If you're like one of the I guess FUD as well, but if you're one or two teams that are building off Turkish talent, there's enough for you to build a great team. So
Well, cNed's available too. Foot let cNed go and
Mhm.
look for another team. They also released Jonta too.
so did they get Gaius back if they released Jonta, or
I don't know. I mean, clearly there's a gap there for a head coach, isn't there? But yeah, let's talk Foot after BBL, because we're talking the Turkish scene generally. It would make sense to bring Gaius back. I feel like Gaius... I really enjoyed Gaius's weird take on the game.
they just lost so much when he left? So I know he's a beast. Basically, like they lost so much when he left.
Yeah.
They look like a completely different team. They looked borderline lost on a couple of maps, especially defense. No one's playing together. So I think that he's a beast, man. I think you'd be mad to not get him back. If he's not already back, I'm trying to look online, but
Yeah. cNed going exploring elsewhere. That move was always a bit weird to me. Bring cNed onto
Yeah.
the team when you already have Zeus.
Yeah, the whole thing with Foot, like, and that's the thing that was so disappointing about them is they was literally ever since partnership began had been a extremely solid team, and then this was kind of the first time that they really kind of fell off and like looked pretty bad, despite in theory having a decent amount of talent. It's interesting to see what happens with cNed, because like it does feel like. See, I'm open to all offers from all regions in the duelist role. Is a very
The smoke was kind of cooking by the end. I feel like I was in
smoke up, yeah.
I was quite enjoying the Omen cNed arc by the end of things. He looked like he had some potential to do some weird stuff on that role.
Gaius did a tweet. Gaius is back in Foot. He did a
Okay.
tweet 10 days ago, 10, 13, yeah,
Right.
10,
Okay.
11 days ago.
Okay. Cool.
Where did that bring you? Back to me.
But that also means that BBL still like don't have a
Yeah.
great option. I mean, maybe they can just pick up Jonta or something and just keep cycling the IGL,
Yeah, that's
the head
probably right.
coaches around. What about I mean, we're going to talk about this later on, but I'll just shove it in here anyway. Frost and Jovi are looking for a team as
Yeah.
well, right? Because Talon have got rid of their coaching staff too. So
Yeah.
it would be bizarre to see Frost in EMEA, but
It'll be fun, man. Get him in,
Wherever
dude.
Frost goes, I will want to watch, and I
Yeah,
want
I'll
some
watch.
coach to call him out at the start of the season so that I can get some weird
First
rivalry
weekend.
going
it's
on.
the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
First weekend, someone just randomly calls
Yeah,
him
I just
shit.
want some
yeah.
beef. I want Frost to have some
Same.
beef with someone.
Yeah, I'd be down for it.
Jovi was also looking for
Head coach. Yeah.
head coach positions, right? And
Yeah.
Jovi was also prepping like quite a lot of the maps for them too, from what they were discussing. So yeah, there are some options out there. Don't know whether either of them are fluent Turkish, but that hasn't stopped Frost before.
Yeah, dude, I imagine. That's very
Yeah,
true.
he needs one player who can speak.
Who can translate? Yeah, I mean, I imagine both
Pure
of the
force of will.
both of the Turkish teams will just go full Turkish again. The talent's there.
Speaking of new coaches, though, let's talk Navi. Angel has gone from being the coach, gone from being a player, IGL, now to the coach. And apparently was not just like a slam dunk pick. They were still considering, I think, 2 or 3 other options, but decided to go for Angel. Better the devil you know, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I guess he's going to be tasked with getting Navi back into being a team that's properly contending at the very top. They were close by the end of this year, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most interesting thing for this will be where they go IGL wise.
Yeah.
Like, does he want to try and do a bit of like a bonker and try and get a player, turn him into an IGL, or does he want to take just like a young IGL and turn him?
Or does he
more
like
into-
trust Xiao, right? Does he like just say,
Yeah.
"You've played with me long enough. You know what we want to do," and just like turn it over to him? Sliggy, if you can talk to Artis and get him to be the performance coach for this team,
Oh,
Oh,
God.
I think
that
that
would
would
be so
be-
good,
Oh,
right?
that'd be so good.
that would be cooking. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Again, like this is it's just gonna be more fun with.
It feels like
Angel still there.
WWE.
Yeah, it does a bit, but it's gonna be fun. I'm
Like
interested.
it's the best move for the narrative. Not, I mean, who knows whether it'll be the best move for performance, but do I make an LFT post or do I start streaming chat? He posted that like today, 10 hours ago. Get on the Navi coaching staff, Artis.
Yeah, imagine him and Angel in a booth just reacting
It'd be so good, yeah.
to his team's
Be
play.
cinema. They'd be one of the most popular teams for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
I really want to see how Angel reacts to when one of his players just like ints and just trolls. Like, is he angry? Is he like, yeah, that's what I do? You know, like
I think he'll be pretty chill. I can't imagine he'll get too angry. Really, he seems pretty chill when stuff goes wrong
Yeah.
in the team. Mostly because
Yeah.
it's his fault.
Yeah.
but I do think he'll be chill. I think he'll be a great coach, though. I think especially again, like if he picks up a young IGL, they're going to learn a lot. If he wants to transform Xiao into an IGL, that's going to work well as well. He has a good Valorant brain as well, just by the way that he calls. Right, it's very similar to NRG. A lot of set strats, a lot of we have this or we do this. That works. I mean, that's what a lot of teams need, to be honest. So, yeah, I think people will learn a lot from him. I'm excited. He'll be good.
And then final 2 teams to talk about are the French teams, of which Gianamates is probably the more interesting one because they didn't even think that they were going to be in the league, and now, ta-da, you're back.
They're back.
You're back. All of their players, though, were coming to the end of their contracts, but they've said, I think specifically Zyppan is, well, actually Zyppan's tweeted about it publicly, but that doesn't really mean that they're like properly getting rid of anybody. I guess the question would be, who do you actually want to keep on this team? Like, if you were looking to build a team for next year for Gentlemates, it's almost like a Boom Esports situation. You thought you were fucked, and then at the 11th hour, you've been given another opportunity. How do you make the
Yeah.
best use of it?
I mean, I would pick up. I would keep comeback for sure, especially with how the meta is going. I think that the op or someone that likes to prevalently use the op is going to be super strong. So I think that it's a great meta for him. And then I would probably keep Mini, but I'm not sure I would have him as IGL. I would need to like know the inner
Really?
workings of how that works.
See, I was fucking with what Gentlemates were doing until they got to the finish line. Like, I liked what they were up to for the majority of when I feel like they were playing their game. And I think that a lack of experience, a lack of mental fortitude, whatever the hell it was that was stopping them from being able to get over the line, caused them to play very differently afterwards. But if you only look at the stuff that they did at the start of maps, I was fucking with what Mini was up to.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know that internal stuff. Like
Yeah.
sometimes,
Right,
sometimes it
absolutely, yeah.
looked lost. That's like
yeah,
my.
I think that's the problem. Is that it felt like sometimes if their game plan initially didn't work, there was no like they would get battered in a lot of maps. There was a lot of maps last
Yeah,
year
that's true.
that they just didn't show up in. I think is a bit of a worrying sign, but it's an but Mini is like that's the thing about Mini though. He's like good enough anyway to just keep
Yeah.
on as a non-IGL even if you don't. It's
He
like
frags so heavy.
yeah,
he
so
would
it's like
actually be
either way.
He'd be a great player with Angel as a coach, to be honest, in terms
Yeah,
of like getting
probably.
to like you actually mix Angel's style of calling in with how many plays, it'd be strong as hell. Just give him a little bit more direction because that's what it felt like it needed always.
Well, they have Paco signing as their head coach, according to Sheep Esports. Verbal agreement with Gentlemaid. Now, I don't know the guy, but he spent 3 years with Diamond Esports in the East League. Joined Karmine Corp in the French Challengers at the beginning of 2025. So KC Academy roster 2 stars is coaching recently.
Yeah, I've had some good stuff. I've heard he's pretty switched on with a lot of it, so it'd be interesting.
I've
to
seen
see...
Enterprise play quite a bit. Yeah, they were pretty good.
They've looked pretty good, so
Right.
interesting to see like what direction he goes in terms of who's he picks up. I think the IGL one's the most important at the moment, really. And he's definitely got an option if they can keep Mini. Would you just bring in like a hard IGL that's actually wanting to IGL?
Who the fuck are the hard IGLs in EMEA?
Tier 2? Not many.
Tier 1?
Tier 1? There aren't players?
Fake.
No, what
Yeah,
do you mean that aren't players?
Well, there aren't players turned IGLs.
Oh well, no, I'm fine if they are as long as they're good. Like who are the like genuinely good IGLs in EMEA? I feel like there's so few of them.
I mean,
There's-
yeah. Cloud
there's, like-
got a lot better, Natz got a lot better. Boaster,
Yeah.
obviously.
But these are all locked into their teams, aren't they?
To an extent. Could always send them out offers.
I mean, Yampy might not be locked to his team. He might be going
Gentle
into
Gentlemate
Vitality.
sign Boaster. That's gonna
Yeah.
be a shock.
Yeah.
I don't think Boaster or Nats are going anywhere. I'm just whenever we talk about IGLs in Europe, I'm always at a loss as to like how do you do better than sticking with Mini for 2 years and hoping that he improves? I just maybe it's my lack of understanding about EMEA tier 2, but
Yeah, I think you could maybe look into tier 2. But again, I don't even know enough. The only one that I know of is Cupid. But he was doing the Waylay Yoru first before other people.
yeah.
He at least has a good idea. Depends if I don't know, man. It depends if there's other people out there.
Yeah. I
There's
mean
a
that
sign.
would be cool to get Cupid in after he's been out there coaching, playing, doing all sorts of stuff.
Doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta have the fraggers. You gotta have the fraggers with him. Has to be like a Boaster situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the old General Mates team did have fraggers as well.
Oh, dude,
They
it would
could
work
do
in this
that.
team. Yeah, it would work
Yeah.
in this team.
Karmine Corp as well. Let's talk Karmine Corp for a little bit. The official information is that they've parted ways with Pyrolll, who just came in to play a couple of games for them at the end of the year when shit was going super south. But more interestingly, I mean, John QT was trolling on his Twitter and posted a picture of himself with like a thinking bubble and the KC logo inside of it. So he's definitely not going to KC. But I think this team's got serious questions about like what they do.
I was gonna say, who'd you keep in this team?
Maybe not Sadak if he's going over towards Drew.
Sure.
And to be honest, this is what I mean about EMEA IGLs. Sadak came in. I don't think I noticed any real improvement from Sadak's calling.
If anything, I would say that it was a bad pickup because he's so hard set on his version of the meta and there were just better things on the meta. I would say you kind of brought in a guy that had a bad read of the meta. Kind of cost you your year, to be honest. Similar with how like FNS and other people didn't embrace the Teo. Like IGL's got defined this year with how fast they were of just being able to work out the Teo was the strongest. And if you
the coaches should also take responsibility for that.
Sure. It's a collective bubble.
I think that's why this was an interesting pairing because it feels like Eng has a very, strong mind for what he wants to do, and also Sadek kind of have like maybe a bit of a different idea, but also a very strong mind, which is why I thought it was always kind of an interesting pairing on KC. And I think if they are like, KC could go in a lot of directions. They really could do pretty much anything. I think because like they could keep Eng, get rid of Sadak, bring in, Eng picks an IGL or whoever, and then you build a team around that. I think you'd probably keep Martine.
Yeah, and well, it
But-
depends,
Yeah,
man.
I
2024,
think so.
Martin, you're like
Yeah.
for sure. You're probably talking about other teams picking him up. Last year, he went missing, man.
He
Well, this
did,
year, I
but-
guess he went missing.
I still feel like there's probably like enough there to where you would still want him, but and Sugetsu had a good year, I think, as well. Overall, he was pretty good, so I think that would be fine. And Ave, like
yeah.
this is what's weird about this team though. Like
It's a good
Ave's
team.
had moments of going crazy, like Sugetsu had moments of going crazy.
Well, I
Martin,
think
you've seen it in
Those are the
2024,
three
they
you
took-
stick to, though. Martin, Aves,
You
and
think you would keep
Sugetsu.
both? Well, you're the KC fan. Would you keep all three?
I mean, I'd be looking at who's available, but I think that those are the three I'd be most likely to hold on to. I think the identity of the team and getting people, getting the team in a spot where they can, I mean, what?
Let's play normal comms,
Okay,
man.
Joe
Yeah,
Biden?
well, because what I was thinking was like they were playing weird shit. Sometimes it was working super well, and
Yes.
other teams couldn't adapt to it.
Well, that's
But-
what playing weird shit often does.
Yeah,
Sometimes it goes
exactly.
really
Yeah.
well, and sometimes
Yeah.
it goes completely terrible.
But it was super high variance kind of stuff, right? Like sometimes they hit on gold and it worked perfectly, but it felt like they couldn't at any point fall back and just play default stuff to a super high level.
This is one of those teams where I don't want to judge the players too much because it's like there's only so much you can do when you're playing weaker comms. No, it's true though. Like there's only so much you can do if you're playing a harbor. You're literally playing the worst agent in the game. Most maps, you're gonna lose. It's hard to judge these players for that. Really, I just think it's like a bad call. The players are pretty good. I would give the majority of them another go, especially Martin. I feel like he can do a lot better than this. Aves was really good on like double duelist side of it. Sugetsu did pretty good on the smokes, even though he likes to take duels, which honestly is probably going to work pretty well in the next patch anyway. So that kind of fits. You get those three. I'd be fine to try Sadak again as long as I was just like, you're doing none of the comps, unless it was Zhang.
Well, yeah, it might not have been
Then-
him.
Yeah, this is the thing. So
The
it's
problem with Sadak is, like, when we saw him in his previous team, having seen Fraud now with other teams, they are playing normal comps. Like, you can't look at MRBR and think, no one has ever looked at a game of MRBR this year and thought, you're playing weird comps. If anything, they're like playing too basic comps sometimes, rather than going for stuff that's more like cutting edge. So there is a Sadak component, but there's absolutely an egg
I
and
think the
Sage
Phoenix
component
was
too.
Sadak. He loves a Phoenix.
He does like a Phoenix, but honestly, in some of the stuff, the Phoenix wasn't.
Phoenix
The
is
Phoenix was
alright,
kind of
man.
popping. The Phoenix
Yeah,
was
the
probably the
Phoenix-
best pick that they picked all year.
The Phoenix there was actually not the worst part. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move off from EMEA for a moment. Let's pick up Pacific. So we already discussed a little bit about Talon's coaches in terms of like those coaches going elsewhere, but let's talk about it from Talon's perspective too. It is a little strange to release your coaches after a very successful. I mean, very is maybe doing a bit too much there. They probably should have been able to make it to champs. They looked like they had the ability to be able to punch up and beat big teams regularly throughout the year. And they've assembled some good talent here too. Does seem a bit harsh to be releasing both of the coaches.
They don't
on that.
speak
Yeah,
they don't
this is
speak
a very
the same
unique situation
language.
where you
Yeah.
might just not like the process. Like you might
Oh,
just
yeah.
think if we can just get a Thai coach and just speak the language, because it's just such a unique situation, isn't it? And
Very.
yeah, it's just, and that's the thing, right? Like Frost and Jovi, you know, like people I think have a pretty high opinion of them, right? They're going into like free agency with people probably feeling like these are good coaches because Talon were pretty good. So I think I don't think it makes that little sense from Talon. I think that it makes sense maybe for all sides, and maybe you know the coaches themselves will go to other teams and find some success as well because they seem like decent coaches.
Yeah.
So Frost is mad entertaining.
Frost is
That's,
such a
uh,
fucking wild human, man. The where's his tweet where he announced that he was that he was a free agent? He said it's like so aggressive all the time. Every single thing he says, the aggression is dialed up to 100. Dude, I can't find the tweet. Oh, there it is. I certainly would have preferred this wait until after champs, but here we are. Just immediately starts with like, why the fuck has the org announced this
No,
right
but
now?
wasn't this because Reddit leaked it or something? There was like rumors.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think it's because there were rumors coming out. So he was like, well, I guess I got to make the.
I thought it
official
was that the
announcement.
team. Oh, right. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood the context of that.
Yeah,
But-
that's what happened.
But then he says, last 3 years, I had 9 rookies. Furia was 4-2 before I got fired. You guys know the story with Talon. Call me trash now. It's just like, why is he so aggro all the fucking time?
But I think that's
It's
what spurs him
crazy.
on, man. I
think
think that's
it
what
does.
spurs us
He's
on.
powered by
yeah.
spite and anger.
No, he is. It's a big motivator for him. I do honestly, if that's what it takes, then fair play. Yeah, I think the original thing was because it started getting leaked a little bit. But,
Right.
Dude, I hope someone picks him up, man, just for pure entertainment.
WWE.
Yeah, for our purposes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pure entertainment, man. This guy's a beast. Fun to
Furia,
watch.
Furia was 4-2 before I got fired is such a funny thing to say too, because he was like the manager for that team. The coach couldn't turn up, so he started trying to coach the team as well. But he didn't speak the language properly, and their players were hitting unbelievable shots for the first 2 weeks, and then started playing more normally. I don't know. It's just like it's a very funny. It's a very funny.
It would
thing
be
to
funny if
attach.
Frost went to a team that spoke English and it all fell apart, and it turns out the secret buff was just him shouting but no one knowing what's going on. Like that's what motivates people. Just seeing a man be like going crazy at you, like that works. But if you can understand it, like Cruz is there like Jesus, and having to like soften it down.
I actually could believe that though.
Yeah.
I could completely believe that on a full English speaking team, the way that Frost communicates might be viewed as like way too much. But once it's passed through a language barrier where you don't have as much appreciation of like the context of how aggro he is, you take his words a bit more just for what the content is rather than the delivery of it.
Yeah.
I know that I would not want to work with somebody who is quite that like aggro all the time, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it might be. But the whole thing makes sense, like just because of the language barrier thing. And I think Cruz probably had a lot on his plate. Well, like way too much for him to be IGLing and like translating and coming in with game plans and explaining all the 4 things that the coaches want to say to each individual player. Translating that must be a nightmare. So I can understand this. Just get a Thai speaking coach in and just go full Thai, which they already are. And I like that they keep the whole team. I feel like there's no bad blood here. I feel like the coaches probably knew this was coming.
Yeah, it seemed like it. Frost was already saying a while back that he was like wanting to go back to. I think he said go back to America, but maybe he said leave Pacific. I'm not sure of the precise wording of it, but he was talking about leaving. Well, let's move on to the Japanese teams, ZETA and DFM. So ZETA previously also had a coach that was a strange pickup, former FURIA coach. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Was Carlao with
Yep.
FURIA?
Yeah.
And then went on to coach ZETA Division, which was strange. And then they're also allowing a couple of players to explore options. I'm just looking at the duration of their contracts now as well to see requirements. Yeah, TenTen. Yeah, both of these contracts were up at the end of 2025. So these were just expiring.
Yeah.
What do you think ZETA should do?
Get Laz back, man. That's what I think they should do. You gotta try and get Laz back. I don't know enough about the tier 2 talent, but when I watch the tier 2 Japanese teams, it's like all of the players that were like given a chance in DFM or ZETA. It feels like there's not too many new players coming in, so I don't know. It looks hard for this region, and apparently the tier 2 gets paid really well as well. So I'm not even sure some of the players find it that appealing to move up.
Yeah, you'd rather be a big fish in a small pond to some degree, rather than go up and just get snacked on by everyone in Pacific all the time.
Yeah, so
I could see that.
it'll be interesting. I don't think I mean, XQQ's fine as a coach. You keep him for sure. There's definitely an instant boost when he came back as well. Like you could see the understanding of the maps are way better. So it's just about picking up the players. They could have stuck with this because at its peak it looked incredible.
What,
Dude,
the
that
peak being
you
that
took
one match against
Paper X game,
X?
Bray. You tell me
It
who
was
played the
one
best.
game.
You tell me who played the best Valorant in one game last year. That was the peak, man. That was peak Valorant. That was the best we've ever seen Valorant played. Is by ZETA 2-0 Paper X.
They would have beaten NRG in the finals.
It would have been everyone. Holy bro! If they could stay at that form, they would have been everyone. That was an incredible game. I could understand if they wanted to keep it, but I don't know, man. I don't know enough about the tier 2 Japanese scene to be like they need to pick up this guy.
They need to collude with DFM. That's what they need.
We've said that all the time, right?
Sacrifice one of them.
But then you've got to sacrifice Zeta, I think, because DFM have got May on a 2027 contract.
Start with May.
So
sorry, Zeta.
So we just have to take the hit and go. Okay.
Yeah,
You just got to take the hit,
Okay.
and we just put everyone who's the best on DFM.
Well, who is the best from Zeta? Like, who would you actually want to steal from Zeta to DFM?
Sugar Zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's on a
Maybe
26 contract, so you'll still have to pay a buyout, but yeah, have Depp as like a flex or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still doesn't inspire confidence. Even a super team from Japan doesn't particularly inspire me.
Really?
Or maybe that's just the jaded nature of
Nah, I think May with
watching them lose.
I think if you did combine, if you can combine the two and just had all the best players, I think it's pretty legit. I really do. I think you're underplaying May, man. I think May's one of the best.
Oh no,
duelists we have.
May's great, but
You think the others aren't up to scratch?
not really.
Is there
I
no
mean,
like something /Jemkin in tier 2 Japan? Some random Russian that is smurfing on everyone that we can just get in as well.
I mean, probably.
Doesn't
Probably.
speak the language, but we just let him just walk over
Let him
there and
go
kill
in,
everyone.
DFM also released art. So if you want to look at the other side of the coin, they have 3 players whose contracts are also up at the end of this year. So art's like completely gone, but Akame, Jingbun, and Cease are contracts are up at the end of this year. So these Akame and Jinbun.
I'd be tempted to run it back. Double controller. They've already got both the controllers there. Lean heavy into that. Like all of these roles make sense. I think you could run this back, but again, it's just depends if there's just like that star player coming up from tier 2 that makes a lot of sense to change one of these. But I think at least, in my opinion, Akame May for sure. And then I feel like Yen actually had some pretty good showing towards the end. I don't know if it was like a confidence thing, but I think Yen's
another player on
Yeah.
a 2027 contract. So if they were planning to release him, they would have already probably.
They did better than they've done before. I guess it's like the.
I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, the
they
bar's in
lost
the
every
floor.
game in the first year, Sliggy.
I mean, yeah, but it got better.
Doing better than that is not.
Yeah, I agree, but mate, it's like, what else are we meant to
Team
say?
Plat
Here?
chat might have done better than that.
Jesus,
No, we would. No, we
that's
would.
outrageous.
We would not have done better.
May would 1v5ers.
Yeah, probably.
Okay? Someone was asking me this in my stream recently. The version of the Plat Chat Premier team where we had Sean Gares, Barla, me, Bren, and I can't remember who the final player was. Maybe it was like Wyatt. Maybe it was Mimi. Something like that. Would that team be able to beat?
No.
What are you about to say?
Would that team time travels back to 2020? I didn't know the game very well.
No.
The question was, would it have been able to beat, with 3 years of extra knowledge, the 100 Thieves team with Yuicaw and the
100
PUBG
Thieves? I
players
thought you
on
were
it?
going to say
You
something.
went for the 100 Thieves team.
Why would you go for one of the better teams from them?
No,
Why-
no, I don't think they were great at that point. It was the one where it had the like PUBG players on it. I can't remember who they were, but like the very old version of 100 Thieves.
But you beat them.
No, you're
No.
giving us a direct 0.
Yeah, 0.
Eco venerated pride. Well, they had your boy Dre, actually. He's kind of insanely good. All right, fair enough. No, you don't believe. That's fine.
Not a chance, dude.
That's fine.
You guys are living in a dream world.
That's fucked up. We have 3 years of extra knowledge about Valorant, but apparently...
Are
Maybe
you
if they-
playing
maybe-
on maps that they've never seen and have agents that they've never seen?
like, they just get ported forwards in time.
Yeah.
I mean, we beat the piss out of them in that case, surely. Their first ever time playing on, like, Sunset.
Yeah, I could
We're
get on
owning
board
them.
with that. Yeah, I could get on board. I wouldn't say owning them, but I could get on board that you might win. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk the 2 Ascension teams from Pacific who are both playing in Ascension right now. Boom, to start with, lost DOS9. I think DOS9... Now, why would any of the... Why would... So, Nongshim haven't really made changes. Nongshim have just officially let go of Margaret and had RB fill in that slot. But Boom are strange because why would DOS9 leave before Ascension? This is what I don't quite understand. He was a good player. He's got
He was
the
an
chance...
insane player in stage 1.
Yeah, it was nuts. Like, he's got the chance of being able to win Ascension again with his team, and, like, surely that's going to mean something. Is he just... No.
I honestly
Got an
don't
offer
know,
somewhere
but
else already?
It has,
Yeah.
it has to be something internal we don't
Yeah.
know about. Like offer, something situational wise in his life. I don't know, man. Because outside view, he was... I mean, outside view, he's one of the top that you keep.
Yeah. Okay. So something weird going on there. Anyway, they've signed Natz from RRQ Academy.
Team
Not
Heretics.
that Natz. Different Natz. He's still a good Sentinel player, though. And they also signed Whitecat on a loan from Secret Academy, who I don't know much about. They won their opening game of Ascension. I don't think they're really favored. I don't know, to be honest. They're not like DRG in Chinese Ascension, where it would be astonishing if they didn't win. There are still 2 spots in Pacific.
Or even Nongshim, I would say.
Nongshim
I would be shocked if Nongshim didn't.
Yeah.
At least make top 2.
Make
Yeah.
top 2.
Sure.
That
I
would be
can
shocking.
see Boom with the changes struggling a little bit, but again, I don't know enough about the players that they picked in. 'Cause it's Famous has gone as well, right? Famous
Yeah.
and Dosna. I
Yeah.
mean, they're 2 big players, man, really. But I don't know how these other guys are.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting for anybody who's following Boom. I think they're an easy team to root for because they played such a great Ascension finals last time. They, scraped their way in and then went undefeated instead. They've just got a lot of weird stuff, like funny, crazy shit has happened to them over the last year.
They were a fun team this year, really.
Yeah.
They gave us a good amount of entertainment.
Yeah. Nongshim, on the other hand, have just officially parted ways with Margaret. So, they added RB a while back, and we were wondering exactly what role he'd play. Now, goodbye to Thatcher, officially gone from the team. I'm more upset about Val Analysis leaving. Greatest coach name of all time, probably.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they're keeping everything here, though.
Yeah.
They have to be the favorites, surely. Unless there's some like tier 2 team there again I don't know about, but
Well, there'd have to be 2 as well.
they got two slots, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so they should be good.
Nongshim's first match is in about 10 hours, something like that. 13 hours. 13 and a half hours from now, Nongshim are playing against Naus, who have PTC on there that you might have seen before at Champs. I think you attended, actually, in 21 with Full Sense. And, it's a team that's been around the block in tier 2 as well, with plenty of good talent on it at various different times. And then final piece of Pacific news is that T1 officially let go of Sylvan. That's not really... I mean, Pacific is not doing shit at the moment.
Nah, we gotta wait.
They sleep.
It's still early though, dude.
very
Champs
early.
finished very early. It's normally just like rumors at this point. But I mean, this doesn't
Sylvan.
make...
will be an interesting quiz question about Valorant trivia of people who've won internationals.
I at least hope he gets another shot though.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, that's the thing. Sylvan, weirdly would have just been quite an obscure player if that documentary hadn't come out.
Sure.
But now, I think people are invested in the Sylvan story. We are now invested in his growth. God, if he goes to another team and beats T1 as well, God, that would
be
a
sick.
good one.
it would be
That
cool,
would be
yeah. It would be cool.
I can't really imagine anyone picking him up, though.
I was gonna say I was trying to think in terms of teams that would pick him up, unless Zeta wanted to go for more of
a mixed team.
Yeah.
more of a mixed team again.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think that people will remember, in terms of your trivia question, do you think people would think of Sylvan more than they would think of Keyless? Or Bone Cold?
Well, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have even been around back then.
Yeah,
so
the game
I
wasn't.
feel
popular, right?
like that is more obscure.
just
But like, if
a-
we're talking in when 10 years time, when this is obscure too,
Right.
then maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
possibly. There's some good trivia out there at this point. We're building up a fair amount of history. All right, gotta talk Wolves. Sliggy, I know you're a huge Wolves fan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they've lost Yuicaw, Juicy.
Wait, have they actually? It is pretty big news, surely.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, the Yuicaw and Juicy both have restricted free agency in Wolves. And one of the rumors is that Autumn from FPX might be coming in to replace one of the slots, but Autumn's also looking at like all regions apparently too. So yeah, Juicy saying that speaks fluent English, able to relocate, can contact my coach Fade, which is I mean just because he's still under contract rather than being an agent.
Any interested party? That's a weird way. But I mean, people want to get reviews anyway as well.
Sure.
But yeah. I mean, DMV, you must have some thoughts about this.
Yeah, it's very sad, I suppose.
I
I
suppose.
do think. Well, no, it is sad.
The thing he's most
because-
pissed off about is that the chants don't work anymore.
Yeah, the chants don't work.
You must have
anymore
one for
the-
autumn.
Oh, we can make them up. Yeah, the new chants will come in. But I do think for I think both of them will still get in tier 1. I think Juicy will probably have maybe even more options because he
Mm-hmm.
could in theory go to Pacific as well. And be on a team. So yeah, it's sad. I do think it makes some sense because Wolves also, they were like boom, they had a very odd season, right? Kind of started off like then it was insane for like a brief moment of time, and then stage 2 happened, and it was almost like too much too fast. Like the season kind of hit them too soon, and it didn't go great. So yeah, I think making some changes does make sense, and I think you're gonna keep Spring. Lysol was kind of their Chinese farmer in the team, where he didn't have a great Toronto, but kind of farmed domestically. And
He's the Sentinels player.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then Sufat is the boaster of Wolves essentially. So you're always gonna keep him. So yeah, I think it makes some sense to make some changes. Obviously, we'll see who they pick up. If they do get Autumn, that would be a good start. I think. I'd be pretty hyped.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I also think Yuicaw will probably find his way onto a team as well.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of. I imagine all the Chinese teams will kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe like 2, 3.
It'd be nice to see them get a properly nutty duelist player, though. Because I feel like if Autumn comes in to play Juicy's role, I don't know that I'm that down with that. Like, I feel like Autumn's been very good as
Yeah.
a solid, high-fragging, senti,
I'd
flexy
probably
kind
prefer
of
him
player.
for the Yuicaw.
Yeah,
role,
yeah.
and then,
Yeah, and then find
bring
some
in-
crackhead.
yeah, break in some crazy player.
Yeah. Find an insane. They've got to be some bonkers good duelist players in China. I simply don't
Yeah.
believe
Yeah,
that
sure.
they aren't falling over themselves with cracked duelist players out there. And then all gamers released one of their gamers, guys.
So what,
but
are
one-
they down to 18 now?
One?
Yeah, one of their gamers is gone. Delby's gone. They now only have 1,000 other players. No, because we've done the all gamers bit all year, but it is them and their academy team, right? Like all on the same page. It was just it was lost in translation. But all gamers were actually doing well by the end of the year.
Yep.
They beat. Oh no, they didn't beat Wolves. Who the fuck beat Wolves? Who beat the shit out of Wolves?
Everyone.
I was going to say,
in stage 2.
it got pretty rough out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't all gamers. I think was it like.
No, it was all
Ty Lue
gamers,
or
so this
something?
is the Evo again.
Oh, that was
Oh, yeah,
Evo.
time.
They didn't beat them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was all gamers beat
Oh,
the shit
yeah, it
out of
was.
them in week 2. Yeah. They beat them like 13.
Well, that's the thing. I remember watching that game and being like, "We're getting the shit beat out of us by all gamers. Like, what the fuck is going on?" And then they actually turned out to be all right. But at the time, I was fucking like, "How have we lost to this Galoo org?"
But Delby was a starter for them and was also, I think an import because he's tagged up on VLR as Indonesia. So that would potentially open them up to picking up a different import player too. So who knows? Not 100% there, but I'm sure there'll be more info coming out of Pacific and China over the course of it.
Yeah.
Final segment that we had for today was just taking a look at some of the teams that have been relegated or potentially might be relegated, who are currently playing in Ascension, and asking which players you think are good enough to be able to stay in VCT. Like, which players would you want to have around? So, for like Boom, for example, they had DOS9 and Famous. Do you anticipate them going to other teams? Like, do you think they're good enough to be in some?
Yeah, I think at least DOS9 I could definitely see, and then maybe Famous for tier 2. I think he was very reliant on op, but he definitely had like his strong moments.
Yeah.
Or unless like a GE or something wants to pick him up, but I would imagine so. At least, at the very least, trials.
What about the other players on the roster? Like, if Boom failed to make it, would you see Shiro, Slasher,
I mean,
Berserks?
Shiro's getting picked up. But that's like the main one I would say. I feel like Shiro's just a set-in to get picked up. Yeah, the others would have trials.
Yeah. I mean, okay. If we wanted to go it's kind of weird with Nongshim though, because I feel like if Nongshim make it to like through Ascension, then obviously they're just going to keep the same roster. Well, maybe they'd make a couple of tweaks, but they'll be pulling specifically from the Korean pool. So they're not even...
Might get Sylvan.
Yeah. I don't think you'd want Sylvan over Persia though, would you?
Nah. I think you just keep the same team. Really.
Yeah.
Especially as you kind of go through this as well with like RB. So
yeah, in terms of people that, like, if they didn't make it, would be great free agents to snap up elsewhere.
all of them. Are they not all pretty legit?
They are good players. I think
they'd all at least get
Danby's a
looks.
weird one though.
Yeah, Danby is a... Well, yeah, he he has a bit of a unique style, let's say, in terms of sending in. But they also have a very unique play style in general, right? Like Nongshim, they kind of do their own stuff. But I do think that they would get a look. Like the thing that would be weird is if they didn't make it, the other teams would be probably very, very good, right? This is still like a literal middle of the table. Like this is a mid-table Pacific team and a pretty strong Pacific. Like they have shown that they are competitive players. So yeah, they would at least the thing that would be the limiting factor for them is if like the two teams that ascended weren't Korean and then they only felt like they could go to the Korean teams, and then there might not, like, you know, DRX are probably somewhat looking like they would want to run it back. Genji would be maybe on a couple slots open max. You know, they're not getting rid of Texture, Aaron, Munchkin. We don't know if he's going to, you know, do his military service or whatever. But there wouldn't be a ton of options, you would have thought, on Genji, and then T1 as well. Yeah, probably not a lot of options open. So they might find it difficult to actually find a team unless they went the RB route of going to China, which probably would be an okay option for them as well.
I think they'll just be fine though. They'll make it free.
It's a moot point. They're gonna fucking do it. Don't worry about it.
What about the all right, other team that's playing then in Ascension, DRG? I mean, DRG have got some. I mean, dude, I don't even want to ask that question though. They are making it. If DRG don't make it, that is astonishing.
Vukashu could make it on any team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll be fine.
Spirit's been nutty too.
It's only one slot for China.
Tell you
though,
what,
right?
Vukashu is the player DFM need on that Japanese roster we're talking about. Someone who you can just leave on the other side of the map, doesn't speak the language, and just you go over there and just kill everyone, and we'll do this.
I think Vukashu's been actually learning quite a lot more Chinese though over the last couple of years because
well, that's perfect for him because he's going to be on a Japanese team.
All right, 2G. 2G is an interesting one because I think actually there are teams really looking like FURIA, for example, to pick up, you know, decent Brazilian players who might not have been able to make it back in. Obviously, Spike we are already associating with Leviathan, but I think Silence.
Yeah, Silence will get
And
some.
maybe LZ on smokes. I kind of liked what LZ was doing for portions of the year.
He was like end of the year. He was fragging out pretty heavy. He had like quite a few like rounds where he would just getting multi kills and getting out.
Yeah.
So I think he at least proved himself fragging wise. Yeah, silence for sure. Spikes obviously,
Yeah.
and then the others maybe trials. I would have more faith in LZ getting more trials than the other two.
What about if we go over to EMEA? Let's tackle the old Apex roster, right? But after they got Penny in, I feel like Penny. Dude, I've seen Penny around for so long. I would like to see Penny given a chance by someone. I mean,
Come on,
EG, maybe even like, could he trial for the spot on C9? Maybe even, you know, something like that. Because he's good and he's flexy.
Yeah. He is good, and he frags out well. He looks good for the team in terms of motivation as well. Everyone that seems to coach him does well.
That's a crazy last 60 days to have played.
Yeah,
All those. That's like on
months.
ranked. That's like your last 60 days on ranked. What you've played.
Yeah. All right. What about like the other? So the other players, I suppose. Dude, Apex, it's a bit of a struggle individually. Olizera, Vova, Molsey,
maybe.
Batu.
Yeah.
It's rough. I could see Molsey get in trials
Because he was a caller.
for initiator and calling stuff.
His util was really
AO
nice.
flashes, yeah.
The like
Put him back on
coordination
care, yeah.
with it was really good. But oof, they had a lot else missing.
I think that's it. It's a shame about Batu, man, because I think Batu had a lot of potential and showed a pretty high level, but the inconsistency of what level he was going to play at was crazy. So with a bit of work, Batu, but I think that's a tier 2 kind of vibe going on.
With
I would
a
have
lot of work.
Yeah, I would have the most hope out of all these from obviously Penny and then Molsey to kind of get a trial.
And then Koi is the other team as well, obviously, because they got kicked out of VCT. So those players are in a tough spot. But they had some interesting people. I mean, you were a fan of that team after the rebuild.
Monster and Batty G are cursed. They're cursed. They were great tier 2 players when partnership began. I mean, particularly Monster. I mean,
yeah, Monster's good.
Particularly Monster. That's crazy that like he had a tiny go in tier 1 and then his all gets kicked out of VCT. So yeah, give my boys a chance. I mean, I think they should get trials at the very least. I mean, especially Monster, and I personally think Batty G as well. Batty G,
Monster might be. Who were we talking about earlier in terms of Senti? Vitality. I mean, maybe that's not. Maybe Monster's not quite at the level where you'd want, but at least trialing for a spot like that, where if you want like a heavy Senti player, Monster's got to be one of the people that you're looking at for that kind of thing.
If it's Senti Viper, like we're saying, he's play Viper, so again it'll be like a trial aspect. The guy frags really heavy.
Duelist Viper player, Monster for Heretics.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Actually, I didn't think about that one.
It's possible. What about Natank, TMV?
Well, I like Natank too. I think
back to gentle mates.
Honestly, maybe he's literally the reason they're in tier 1 to begin with. So yeah, why not?
They owe him. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying they owe him. I mean, they literally do owe him. They owe him that spot.
Yeah,
I think for me it's a tier 2 vibe, but he got a rough year. He was all over the place.
Yeah, very rough, very rough. All right, let's move on to our most important segment of the week to wrap up the show. No Bren, no whimsy.
Oh, do you remember Bren?
This is pure awards giving.
That was a good time. Can we get the nipples up?
No.
Yeah, just one last time. Can we flash some
last
nips?
look at the nipples?
I'd love to take a look at Bren's nipples one last time. No, oh, that's not how I wanted to look at him. What's happened to my nose, by the way? Why do I look like fucking Voldemort? I mean, it's an artistic choice, but man alive. All right, let's go for Wyatt's weekly award, shall we? We've got no Bren, no Wyatt, but we still got an award to hand out. We're going for it.
Give it to Bren's nipples.
I'm not going to give it to Bren's nipples. I think we've got a better...
Oh, I didn't see you there. It's time for Wyatt's weekly award. And dinner.
A good pot of chili. Nothing warms the cockles like a good bowl of chili. Winning it this time, for this week's Wyatt's Weekly Award, a player obliterated a BO5 record. Now, there are different BO5 records depending on where you're playing and what you're up to, right? But whether or not this is an all-time or what, it's still absolutely monstrous that MIBR's Game Changer team, SRN, MIBR's Game Changer team player, SRN, put up 124 kills across 5 maps in the grand finals against Team Liquid Brazil. It is, I mean, just looking, they can't even format
VLR.
the page
yeah,
properly.
It literally broke VLR.
But I mean, also, 111 kills right below, 101 kills right above. I mean, this was a fucking crazy game.
Dude, this is
apparently.
nuts, man. People broke the 100 for the deaths as well.
Yeah.
104 deaths. Shout out to Jelly, dudes. That might be a record.
That's got to be a record.
That's
It
got to be a
has
record.
Yeah.
I've never seen 100 plus deaths.
That is hard to do.
But the reason why is because they had a 23-21 Abyss game.
Yeah.
23-21.
Imagine being on map 4 and you go 23-21. That is.
I mean, it's cinema. It's
I
I
cinema.
mean, yeah,
crazy,
that's a
isn't it?
banger.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the BO5 kill record at global events is 102 or something.
Jump.
It was
Yeah, this is
whatever
This was
whatever
higher than that.
Kang
I
did.
mean, look at that,
Yeah.
50 kills in a map.
Yeah,
There have been
that's
some people
insane.
in VCT, I think, that have got some ridiculous numbers too, but this is
Something, I think.
this is
Doesn't he still
ludicrous.
have to? Is it something?
But I think that's in
When he's
tier
in
2,
Japan?
isn't
Yeah,
it?
that was
Yeah,
in
that
tier
was in
2,
like tier
but
2
the-
challenges. How many did he get that time?
Oh, it was a lot. It was.
Yeah, but 50 kills in a map is crazy. Because also, you've got to keep that up over less than 50 rounds. Like, that isn't even,
Yeah.
you know, that's not just because there was a lot of OT. That's across 44 rounds, you're putting up over a kill per round.
There's
That's
a lot of openers in there as well.
Absolutely ludicrous.
And as a reward, you get to play on the new patch for your biggest tournament ever. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Leo tweeted about that today. I think it was. Maybe it was yesterday or something. Where he was saying the reason was that they didn't want to limit the amount of scrim partners that the Game Changers teams had access to.
I also read the second part of that, which is like, we spoke to the teams and some of the teams thought that it was okay that we can adapt. Yeah, dude, it's all the teams that have 2-3 weeks extra. Obviously, the teams are
Or
just,
just
like,
the teams that aren't as good right now, and they're like, yeah, fuck it, send it.
it's just like, some of the teams don't actually want to play on the even ground of just everyone playing on the same patch.
Some team has
Obviously,
no
bro.
initiator players. Like, yeah.
You asked me before the biggest tournament when I have 3 weeks over the other teams if I want to go to a new patch. Bro, blow up the whole game and give me a new game. I'll play it right now if I've got 3 extra weeks on the other teams. That's the most ludicrous thing ever.
3-week advantage, but Champs becomes Flappy Bird. Is your team winning because they had an
Yeah,
extra
dude,
3
I got
weeks?
extra 3 weeks. Of course they are. They're gamers, man. They'll own that. Obviously, I'm saying just play Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
That's how I win.
Yeah.
That's all
But-
the game is. You just abuse the game. This is the
Do you
game
think-
abuse.
Do you think the game needs some kind of scrim client where you can play on previous patches so that this isn't an issue? Because, like, the whole problem is if you move Game Changers onto the previous patch, which you should, then they can't scrim properly because everyone else is on the live patch. So,
Sure.
should there be, like, an ability for people to scrim on Tournament Realm or something where you can
I mean,
adjust for patch?
I think there is there not? I think you can do that, but I think it's just the
But,
fact
like,
that
they
they
could've
got
just-
no one to prank.
The simple. Why not just?
All right,
move
you
the
mean like
patch
people
back?
wouldn't want to do
Why
that?
not just
Yeah,
move the patch
we
back a
should
month?
we should have moved the patch back 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is
so
it
so
only 2 weeks? Is that...
Game
'cause-
just starts November 20th.
Some
The
teams,
championships.
yeah, some
But it
teams.
doesn't
get-
more
matter
than
if
two-
you
that's more
drop
than
the
2
patch
weeks.
in at that point, right? Like if you drop the patch like specifically like ish when the tournament starts, like
Oh, I
Well,
see
like-
what you mean, right? Because then the scrims aren't as important because people
Yeah,
are like inside.
yeah,
the
like you're
tournament at that
already
point.
in it.
It is
you've
a
got
long
the
delay
prep.
though. It would be like a month delay to this. It would be more like a 4-week delay, I think.
Only for some of the teams.
If
Again,
you
some of the
would've given,
teams
like,
only
a-
qualify like 2 weeks with 2 weeks in between, so they only have like the 14 days to prank, whereas others are like secure.
Okay.
Would have given them
Right.
time to rethink some of it.
that also, yeah, that also.
Yeah, the genius play is to leak the patch, then adjust the stuff that people
Yeah,
are
exactly.
angry about.
I mean,
and
it's what
then release
politicians
it.
do. Like,
Exactly.
oh, they're
Yeah.
thinking about doing this.
Yep.
And they don't, because everyone's like, oh, that's shit. Unless you're Keir Starmer and you want digital ID.
And then
Yeah.
you just push everything through everywhere.
It,
Anyway.
it does feel rough for the teams though, for sure. Like this is a rough thing to happen. I kind of get it from a Riot POV. I don't think they'll ever say this, but obviously you're going to get more eyes on the game because the game is different. But no one's going to publicly say that because they get slaughtered.
Yeah.
But that's
But
probably.
you've publicly said it.
Oh, it's.
Oh, we can
obvious,
say
mate.
whatever we want.
Yeah, bro.
Can we?
We get no backlash, right?
Well, actually, now that I've said that to you, I should be careful. There's certain things you shouldn't say, Sideshow. I know you've been waiting for this moment.
Okay, well, I think that does it for us this episode. A huge shout out to all of you for watching. And if you would
Out to
like
Brent's
to
nipples.
shout out to Brent's nipples, of course. I'm just looking at our channel at the moment to see how close we are to 100k subscribers, because I know that we were very close to hitting that. We have 97,000 subscribers. I think we've gone backwards. I swear to God, it was at 97.5 at some point.
Wait, that's awesome.
we gotta get. You gotta subscribe. There are more than
Look at
100,000
that.
people that watch the episodes every week. So please, if it's you that's out there not subscribed to the channel,
Oh,
hit
I'm
the
not
sub
subscribed.
button. Hit
Wow.
Slicky, hit the sub button, bro. Get Kurt that YouTube play badge.
There you go. You got an extra sub.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Appreciate it. And shout out to the producer for this episode, who was not Kurt. Psych owned. It was Sarkopels. Thank you, Sarko, for producing the episode too. And get Brent's nipples off the screen and get us out of here.
Please.